Oh my god.
That's what we're gonna do. We gotta do it while the cat's here. Forget this intro.
I know. She never snuggles me like this.
it's wonderful.
Especially when I'm in front of the computer.
This is great.
It's a rare occasion.
Look at her.
Are you a kitty cannon?
She's a star. she's a star.
My chair is reclined because I was watching Star Trek today. And I can't watch it on my TV, so I have to watch it on my computer.
Oh my gosh. So you just like lean back watching it? That's fun.
Yep.
Well, we're live, so hello everybody. Thank you for watching. Thanks for being here. That's the end of the video. The whole thing was just to show you the cat. All right. Thanks everybody. Here's thanks to the Patreon. No, I'm kidding. No. Welcome to the Hylian Gamescast, episode 1. I forgot to put the number in the title. 150. Did I put it in the title number? No, 158. I did actually put it in the title. Shh. I know what I'm doing. We're back from our non-hiatus. Well, Jesse is back in the basement, but the rest of us are continuing our routine as if nothing happened. I'm Daniel. I'm 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗀𝗃𝗀𝗃. Below me, you'll see the game over guy himself, Mr. Jesse.
Hi. Thank you for inviting me.
You're invited to your own channel.
Own podcast.
Congrats. To the side of me, holding a cat, she is not necessarily a Wookiee, but not necessarily a human. It's 𝗙𝗵𝗲.
Heyo.
And in the bottom right corner, you'll see she is a jack of all trades, but self-reportedly a master of none, the geek apprentice.
Hello. I was like, where is that going? And I was like, oh, my name.
I'm being clever. So many people in the chat already. This is wonderful. This is wonderful.
Yeah.
Excellent. So we've got some news here. I guess we can just jump right into. Well, no. Before we jump into it, how is everyone doing? How are you guys? We didn't talk much before actually hitting go live. So, how's life?
Dying but surviving.
Dying.
You're dying.
Why?
Yeah.
Why?
It's those last few weeks before recital. We have like the babies perform.
Are you leaving? What are you doing?
They perform late May, and then early June is the big recital, and all the dancers are like dying and burnt out, and all the teachers are dying and burnt out. And I'm like, I promise we all love dance.
Aww.
We just don't act like it right now. But it's all good. It's good.
I'm sure. In the end,
I can't
it'll
wait till
be good.
summer when I can probably podcast for much longer.
Before you get too sleepy.
Fine.
I mean, I probably still get sleepy because we go till midnight, and I'm just like dead. But
It's fair.
Nice.
One of these days, someone's gonna ask you specifically a question in the mailbag, and you're gonna have left before.
I know.
Aw.
I know.
Yeah. They're gonna be like, who is your least favorite character in Twilight Princess? And we're just gonna have to be like, Ilya? Maybe?
Throwback. Oh,
Maybe?
we already have a super chat.
Oh, look at that.
Clerk's
Justin.
starting off strong.
Justin, thank you for the super chat. About to go back to work, but I hope you all have a good stream, and I'll catch up tomorrow unless I get off early tonight. Awesome. Thank you, Justin. Appreciate it. Hope to catch you soon. Hope you have a good time at work.
Indeed.
Don't work too hard. That's important. That's important.
Big agree.
Mm-hmm. Well, they say in the chat, audio seems okay. All right. So, before people in the chat get too feisty, we'll just hop right into the news about this character leak. We're not just making stuff up, by the way. This isn't even necessarily our news story. We're reporting on someone else's news story, but in a Italian interview with the Italian voice actor for Daruk in Breath of the Wild, he was on a podcast. Josie, what was the name of the channel that interviewed him as well? What do you remember what it was called? That's the one. Jesse actually posted a video about it earlier today.
What in tarnation?
But you heard him. That was the name. Anyways, this Italian YouTube channel posed this interview, and the voice actor for Daruk, or specifically the Italian voice actor, may have had a slip up and mentioned that they had finished recording their lines for the Breath of the Wild sequel, which is, by the way, whenever we've had voice actors on, a question we would never even ask them because they'd stop talking to us. But he let it slip that he had not only recorded his lines for the Breath of the Wild sequel, but that he was recording playing a new character who was the ancestor of Daruk, and a character that was quite a bit more serious than Daruk, which is very interesting. I guess if you've got that kind of gruff voice quality, you're well cast for a Goron, no matter what generation or what have you. But it does have us all scratching our chin. I'm sure it has other voice actors shaking their heads, and he might be getting in trouble right now for everything because the news is caught wind. We've all caught wind of the news. So the real question is, do we think this is a returning character, someone we've seen before? Do we think this is an entirely new character? Does this mean time travel automatically, Jesse? What does this mean? So
I mean time travel.
Time travel, obviously. No, I'm just joking about everything seems to mean time travel to people these days. You could you could put
It's true.
like any piece of information and people are like, it means time travels in the sequel. And I'm like, no.
In my video, I said I don't think it would be time travel. I think it would most likely just be like a single cutscene showing what happened to Ganondorf being sealed, which would have involved the champions a long time ago. And the reason he wouldn't remember the name is just like if it's a few paragraphs that he had to record. So it wasn't like continuing script like he does with
or hear me out. It could have been that he realized he slipped up and let it slip, and when they asked what the name was, he's like, I forget. I don't remember.
Oh yeah,
memory lapse.
That's totally what I would do to cover up. Be like, oh yeah, I don't remember the character's name.
I don't remember.
Head going,
I know nothing.
Freak frack, Nickelback.
Yeah. So that I seriously think that's what it was. I think he knows the name of the character. I just think he just realized, I shouldn't have said that, and got caught in the moment. But also we got another super chat here from 404 𝗏𝗏 throwing us some Canadian dollars. A fellow Canadian, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. But yes, I cut you off there. Sorry.
Holla, get dollar.
Holla, holla, get dollar. I love that message. I cut you. Oh wait, hold on. We have another super chat from. What is this real? Is this for real life right now? Lord Reptilia, $80. Wow, I didn't even say the word dollars properly. I'm so in shock. May the Triforce be with you all. Thank you. Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm in shock.
Actually gets that reference.
Wow.
But anyway.
Guys, we haven't even done anything yet. Oh my goodness. That's not what the Canadian currency is, 404. Anyways, 404 rounds that donation out to a total of $50 Canadian, which is probably like negative $20 US.
The conversion's not good.
But thank you.
Conversions are hard.
UK or no? So Canada's currency to the US is what the US currency is to the UK's currency.
Yes.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I mean, basically, it's like the what is it 1.3 about is the difference, the conversion. I used to know this. I used to work in banking. I used to know this.
I usually put it as like 3/4 of an American dollar is a Canadian.
I think we're doing like 2% right now at work because
one toonie is 2 loonies.
Yes,
well,
$2 is
American
to $1. Congrats,
American
Jesse.
$20 is $24 Canadian, is how we're doing it.
And a loony toonie is $3.
No, you've got it wrong. A loony is $1 and a toonie is $2. It's our currency has a pun.
A loony
baked
toonie.
right in.
A loony toonie is $3. Because 1 + 2. Come on, man.
You're a loony toonie. And Jesse Wood, we also another super chat. Jesse Wood. Love when all 4 of you are together. Thank you, Jesse. The other Jesse.
It's because we have to debunk the weird theories about Tubes and I.
We have to. That's true. That's true. All right. Conversion rates aside, thank you all so much for the donations there and the support. That is incredible of all of you guys. Truly, truly. But to the news, again, not to like sweep that aside. That's incredible, guys. But yeah, I guess, do we have any thoughts or theories about this supposed leak, this new character? Jesse, you were mid-sentence and then I cut you off and rambled and then we got sidetracked. So go ahead.
I was just saying, so he said it was an ancestor of Daruk, and if it's an ancestor of Daruk, the only one that would be worth mentioning that we know about would be the previous champions, which I imagine would just be us getting a cutscene showing how Ganondorf was originally sealed, which would just involve the original champions and then Ganondorf being sealed by them and Zelda of that time. I don't think it'll be like Link traveling back to that time, and then us playing around and interacting with the people from that time, but I think it'll just be like 1 or 2 quick cutscenes, and then that's it.
It makes a lot of sense.
But the more important part is he does not voice, unlike Joe, who the English voice actor voice acts Daruk and Yunobo. This voice actor does not voice act Yunobo. He just voice acts Daruk. And where he said Daruk was in the game as well, that means that despite Daruk being dead and gone at the end of Breath of the Wild, he also returns. So that's another big cool thing.
I mean, flashbacks I think make the most sense. Everyone in the chat is saying Darunia. I'm going to say right off the bat that I don't think that's the case. Simply for the reason that such a insurmountable amount of time has passed between Ocarina of Time and Breath of the Wild. We're talking tens and tens of thousands of years. I just don't see it being Darunia. Like, it just doesn't seem feasible to me. But so I think it's going to be just a new character we've never seen or heard of before. But Chew, what do you think? What are your thoughts? Feelings? Ears?
Ears. Yeah, I found these in my box the other day.
I found mine the other day too.
It was a sign. Yes, go on.
Thoughts. Isn't this not the first time that we've had a leak from one of the other language voice actors?
Oh, yes.
Like
Spanish.
Yeah, how do they keep doing this is my big question.
Well, I think they were fired. So
And
they leaked 𝗏𝗵𝗲𝗄𝗏𝗀.
Yeah, I just personally, I just think that were they filming live or something? I think I'd have total respect for that voice actor. If they slipped up and said something like that, I wouldn't post about it. That person probably lost their job.
You would think.
We have long conversations before we bring people on. What do we ask? What do we not talk about? And then we don't talk about that.
Not to diss the person that was doing the interview. Absolutely, I get it. It was exciting, but I just feel bad for them. But I agree. I think that the most logical way to do it would be probably a flashback of a character that we probably haven't met yet. I'd be surprised if they looped in another Goron that we know of from somewhere else. So I really think that it would just be a one-off.
What if it's the really old Goron from Twilight Princess that is hunched over and he's literally got steam coming out of his back? You know?
Would he still be alive?
Oh,
I'd feel bad for him if he was.
Someone put him out of his misery.
It would have to be Baby Link from Ocarina of Time.
Oh well, Geek, you're the only one who hasn't had your say yet. So, what are your thoughts on this particular story or this character?
A lot of the same stuff. I don't think it automatically means time travel. I wouldn't be upset if it was, because I would trust Nintendo to make good use of it, but they've done time travel a lot, so I feel like they're trying to avoid that in a sense. Like y'all said, Daruk doesn't necessarily mean that he's like there. He could be there as a spirit, but I imagine it would be some sort of flashback. I also don't think it's Darunia. I do like the idea that it's the original champion that piloted Rudania, which then of course begs the question of, are we going to get the other 3 original champions as well that piloted the beasts? Maybe, maybe not. You would think that they would just go ahead and complete all 4. I do feel bad for that voice actor letting that slip up. And same thing, I no hate for the people who posted it. They may not have thought like, oh, we probably shouldn't post this. I'm not saying they were like this, but I know a lot of other like journalists and people who report on things are like, ooh, this is gonna get a lot of views. Whereas I do like, and this isn't meant to sound prideful about us, but I do like that we try to be like, look, these are real people with real jobs. Like, it's not worth the views to put someone under the bus. And again, I'm not saying that's what that channel did, because I know that in the moment I'd probably also be like, wait, what? And not think. But I don't think it's gonna be someone we know, because even though there's a lot of references in Breath of the Wild, off the top of my head, there's nothing super explicit. Like, probably the most explicit thing is the reference to Fi, which if you don't know Skyward Sword, that's not a big deal. It's just like, oh, voice in the Master Sword. So I feel like it would be a stretch to say it's going to be someone like Darunia when they'd have to fill in backstory about who he is and what his connection is. But then again, they could have to do that with Fi, maybe. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I'm excited about it. I'm curious what it means. But I don't recall. I may have just been on one of those long hiatuses, but what was the leak from the Spanish voice actress? I don't remember that.
Oh,
it was.
I don't remember.
It was pertaining to Age of Calamity. He said that they were asked if they were doing anything. The person interviewing him, and it was 2 of the voice actors. They kind of joked. They asked, "Are you coming back for Breath of the Wild sequel or the next game they're working on?" And he was like, "Oh, we already recorded some stuff for that, but the dialogue and the script is just too confusing. We didn't even know what was going on." Is basically what he said.
Oh.
And from the story of Age of Calamity, I completely understand that. Because he was like, I don't know if it was a sequel or what it was, but we did stuff, but it was so confusing I didn't know what was going on. Is basically what he said. And then they were fired.
Were they
From what
legitimately fired?
From what I understand, yes.
Oh my gosh. I thought y'all were saying that as a joke. I didn't know they actually were.
No,
that
that's
stinks. Those
Yeah.
NDAs, they're real.
they are real. They are
And
real.
for the record, the last time I spoke to the English Daruk Joe, he was still picking on me and making fun of me because he beat me at Smash Bros. By farting on me as Wario. So I almost said Waluigi.
It's like he's
Yeah.
not in the game.
So yeah, that's all we have from the English voice actors. Is ha, I farted on you, you died, I win.
That is actually kind of funny. But we also have a super chat from Billy Kinopio. He says, "Sorry, I'm poor. I feel.
Aren't we all?
But here's how I can support. Hey, dude, that means a lot. The fact that you did it at all is honestly great.
Yeah,
Big agree.
absolutely. Don't feel obligated. We appreciate the support, but also even just like you being here and viewing and hanging out and chatting in is also a great deal of support as well. That's not to be understated. So appreciate it though. Thank you so much, Billy. Yes.
And I think Geek's right. I don't think they would where it's like if we get one ancient champion, I think we'll end up getting all the other ancient champions as well. Because I don't think they'll just bring in one and be like, well, the Zora, the rest, they're not that important.
They're not important.
Gorons are top tier.
Top tier race.
100%.
Top tier.
That does beg the question, though. What capacity are we getting in? If it's a flashback, like, because it couldn't be a memory. He wouldn't have memory of that. It just does make you wonder if it's not time travel and it's not memories. Obviously, it's not memories. And it's like, ooh, what capacity are we getting this? And how are we getting this information?
Yeah, it'd have to be someone really
meta.
old, like the Deku Tree or Fi or someone giving you the original
Someone who was
story.
around.
Yeah, or old 𝗵𝗃.
Well, she
Maybe
wasn't
she's-
around for that.
Maybe she's drank a few more glasses of that youth potion than we realize.
That was Pura that had the
Ah.
de-aging potion, though. Not Impa.
I know, but maybe
But-
Yeah.
maybe she forgot it and then had to make it again.
Oh no. You never know. But I think that's a good point, that we'll probably see more new characters that yeah, like you said, it wouldn't be just the one character probably. We'll probably see one from each race. And doesn't necessarily mean time travel. I think cutscenes or whatever is just more likely, or even just like some spirit shows up. Like what I keep thinking about is in the Wind Waker, for example, when you awaken Makar and Medley as a sage, the spirit of like the previous sage shows up briefly. There's what's his name, Fado,
Fado.
and then Laruto, the Zora and the Kokiri sage, right? And they just like show up briefly. They play their song, whatever. And I can see something similar to that sort of thing happening, where just sort of like this spirit shows up. Maybe they're lingering somewhere. Maybe they are sages or previous champions, or we don't know. We don't know. We just know they exist now. So yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Watched the game come out and it's not at all what we were thinking. Which I'm fine
That's
with
fine.
too. I love when we get all these ideas and we're like, wow, did not even consider that. Good job.
Very
Nintendo.
wrong. I also love in chat that right now they won't stop talking about ravioli. The long defeat. On a serious note, will ravioli's ancestors still be able to be used as a pun for pasta?
Yeah, so there's gonna be well, because you've got ravioli, you've got cannelli, which is similar to cannoli, right? And so they have to.
Italian foods in general.
Yeah, you gotta keep the Italian food theme
Amazing.
going.
The tribe is Italian. Apparently, Rito are Italian
They're Italian birds
for whatever reason.
because ravioli.
It must be. It
That's-
must be that.
That's why.
Oh, I had another thought and I forgot it.
Was it
No.
what his ancestor's name could possibly be? Pistali
No.
or something?
No. Feta. No. Fettuccine.
Oh my
Name's
gosh.
Chini. Fettuccine.
Unrelated to noodles, but Midna is like looking out the window watching birds and her tail's just like
I must attack.
and it's like happening right behind my monitor.
That's kind of incredible. That's it. Just turn your webcam so we can see
I
the cat.
remember.
Right?
Even though like we don't know how much or what to think necessarily of this league, you know, all speculation, right? All we've heard is that there's going to be an ancestor to Daruk, that he doesn't remember their name, which again, I would totally do the same thing in that situation. Be like, oops, yep, no idea what you're talking about. What name? I don't know who it is.
Yep.
Some old Goron. Moving on. Don't fire me. But it did make me think, like, I don't want to say I have high expectations, but now I have high expectations. Not in the sense of like, ooh, this game better be really good, but just like, because the mind wanders and we have so much that we haven't seen, we have so little so far, which I'm fine with, then I'm just like, I am prepared to be blown away. I am ready.
Big agree.
Yeah, big agree. Well, and I find
I
that
don't mean
like
that in the sense of like, oh, I have super high expectations, but just like, I am ready to be like, whoa, the entire
Ready to
game.
be blown away.
yes.
Yes.
Perfect. No, I think Zelda stories, for a long time, I've had that ability to kind of just like emotionally gut punch you know, and like I was thinking about
Oh,
like
yeah.
Yeah, I feel
even
that.
as far back as like Link's Awakening, you know, in the early 90s, Zelda games have had some pretty
Yeah.
deep cutting emotional stuff in them. It's pretty wild that they could do that. Yeah, yes, and I think Breath of the Wild, for people always complain that they say the story was non-existent or whatever, even though I think the story was pretty much there. Just a lot of it was subtext, or environmental storytelling. But yeah, it's I'm looking forward to just being emotionally, you know, gutted. So as it were, we got a super chat from Taker610, the king of super chats. The ancient Rito legend Tortellini.
I'd eat that.
I love
He
it.
goes by Leany for short.
Tortellini.
Oh. And
Yes.
I'm also really excited because this will be my first time playing a Zelda game when it comes out. Like, yes, I played Link's Awakening when it came out on the Switch, but I had played it years back. Skyward Sword came out 10 years ago or over whatever it was. You know, all those games came out earlier. I played Breath of the Wild several months after it came out, and I wasn't there for all of the hype and everything. So this will be my first time, and getting to do it on the channel too, in like this environment. My first time experiencing a Zelda game when it comes out, and I'm excited for that element of it too, knowing full well there will be people that, because I would totally do this too, that are gonna leave streams like, no, don't spoil it. But let's be honest, everyone's gonna get a lot further than I am very quick.
But there's something magical about like a new game launch like that, where you're kind of getting into it's like everything's new and like learning stuff before like any game that's been out longer than like a week, you can basically find the whole game online, right? But there's something kind of special about that little small period of time where it's like everything's new, no one has posted about this yet, you know, that kind of thing. And it's really
like when it
great.
Launches the night before that, like, you know, 8 p.m. or midnight release, everyone's up at those wee hours playing the game for the first time ever. It's just magical. Feels like Christmas, man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I cannot wait to know the release date, because it's going to be right in the middle of recital season for us, because the sooner I know, the sooner I can get someone to cover some of my classes so I can just dive in. I just don't want to tell them that's why I'm taking off.
Well, whatever. If you've got time off, that's your business, not theirs. So
It's true. It's true. I'm always concerned about my classes though, because it's a very personal thing of investing my time into the children's. But you know, it's Breath of the Wild sequel. No one understands, but you guys understand.
Oh yeah.
My mom understands.
I have no shame about the fact that I called in sick to work when Breath of the Wild came out. So.
Oh no.
Called in sick.
I was dead for an entire week after Skyrim came out.
There you go. There you go. The cat is back.
Oh my god, that was like
sorry.
that was over 10 years ago.
Yeah, Skyrim was also 2011. Yeah.
Yeah,
That was when Skyward Sword came out.
I skipped a week of school.
Really? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and everyone was like, "Hey, Kayla hasn't been in class for a while," and they're like, "Oh yeah, Skyrim came out."
My mom would let us do that sometimes. There are certain elements that she'd be like, I can teach you whatever you learned there. It's fine.
Yep.
You'll be fine. You'll pass. You guys are smart.
Yeah. I distinctly remember, I don't remember which movie it was, I don't remember which Harry Potter movie it was, but it was a Harry Potter movie that came out, and my mom told my teacher that I had an appointment and let me skip school. And she's like, what your teacher doesn't need to know is that your appointment is with me at the movie theater.
I'm like,
mother. That is exactly something my mom would do.
Yeah.
That's so
funny. You'd want to go see it too.
I think it might have been the second movie. I'm not sure though. It was so long ago, right? I don't remember which one. I just remember that it was one of them. It was one of the Harry Potter movies, not the first. But yeah. Anyways,
when I watched on the Harry Potter tangent, when I watched Philosopher's Stone for the first time, I was terrified of the troll. And my dad tried to calm me down by saying, "He's just like Shrek."
He's just looking for a swamp.
Told me to picture him as Shrek.
He's got layers.
I remember seeing it in theaters, and that was my reaction.
The troll has layers to him, like an onion.
Yeah.
Onions have layers.
That's so funny. That is so funny.
Do we have any other news? Is that our only news?
Jesse, you had another story you wanted to talk about, right?
Well,
didn't you? You talked. Yeah.
The Miyamoto thing.
Oh, was it
With
the
Reggie?
book? Reggie's book.
Reggie? Yeah, Reggie came out with the book. He had a bunch of interviews with people. He gave a lot of insight into the behind the scenes on some big releases in Nintendo's lifetime. So apparently he wanted to release the Nintendo 3DS at $200 but Miyamoto argued with him to release it at like 300 or 250, whatever it was when it released. And then he wanted to have Wii Sports release alongside the Nintendo Wii as a packet. And Miyamoto was like, do you know how long we worked on that game? Do you know how long we worked on motion control? Do you know how many people spent countless hours working on that and you want to give it away for free? And he's like, yeah. And apparently they ended up doing it after a while because Geek said that she bought it with as a packet, didn't you?
Yeah, it came with it for me.
It was for
Yeah,
sure a
so,
packet. He got his way in the end. It was the right move,
yeah,
too.
apparently he won.
It was.
And what else was there that I mentioned?
Mother?
Yeah, he did the whole Mother 3 thing because Reggie was famous for making troll posts and stuff on Twitter about Mother 3, and apparently he was in favor of it, and other people at Nintendo, I'm not going to say who, you can read the book, was not in favor of it. Basically, it seemed like the whole book was just him and Miyamoto arguing over and over. So, fun times.
It's so weird just thinking about these people that had been at Nintendo for so long that have now left, and they have all of these secrets of Nintendo, and they're just walking around the world with all of this knowledge and all of this like behind the scenes. And it's weird because if you think about it, like there are probably so many things that they clashed over just between like Nintendo of America and Nintendo of Japan. Like they probably butt heads a lot. And because I just think about like working at Nintendo of Canada, and like they, you know, were kind of questionable sometimes. And there are some times where I was working there and I was like, really? Yeah, I just think it's crazy, like the whole Kit and Krista thing, like all of their little stories about Nintendo and their podcast.
I love
Reggie
listening
writing
to their
this
stories,
book.
though. Like, it's a treasure
Yeah,
trove
like it's
of insider stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's truly amazing how much goes on behind the scenes with all of these NDAs. There's so much that we don't know about.
Yeah. It's like if 𝗟𝗏𝗃 ever wrote a book, all of it would be filled with like, yeah, we argued about Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. That's how I made Majora's Mask. And then we argued about A Link to the Past remake, and that's how we ended up with Link Between Worlds. And it's like, those are like the two arguments that we know 𝗟𝗏𝗃 and Miyamoto had on the Zelda series. So it's like, what else did they argue about?
And even Majora's Mask came about from an argument of theirs, kind of, because Miyamoto wanted to move on and work on Wind Waker, and 𝗟𝗏𝗃 wanted to stay behind and finish up like their expansion pack stuff for N64 Zelda, and then they did both. But in the end, they did both, and we got Majora's Mask and Wind Waker 2 years apart. But I think
technically it wasn't even Wind Waker. It was they did Wind Waker because they got tired of the graphics because of Majora's Mask. Otherwise, it would have been something probably like that weird tech demo they had for the GameCube. As I said, after doing Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, and then that tech demo, all with the same graphic style, they just got tired of it and wanted to do something that looked different. But if they wouldn't have done Majora's Mask, then it just would have been Ocarina of Time with that style. So, yeah.
Do you ever wonder,
they
though,
not even got Wind Waker.
if like someone at Nintendo ever watches videos on YouTube, like ours or other Nintendo channels or whatever, and they're sitting there like shaking their heads like they have it all wrong. That's not how this happened. Like,
Probably though.
But they
I'm
can't
sure there has
correct
to be
us.
At least a few that are like, look at what these weirdos thought it was.
Yeah, right.
You know how in like customer service scenarios, when you have that one really dumb customer comes in and then everyone just kind of like laughs about them after they leave? That's probably them whenever they watch YouTube videos.
Oh no.
Well,
No, that makes us
We actually did have the people that worked with Nintendo that messaged us because they said they liked our videos.
Right.
And then they ruined our summer, ruined my summer, and just like disinvited me without telling me the whole thing.
That was a whole thing.
They broke my heart, basically.
Oh, I remember you talking about now. I was like, what is he talking about? I remember now.
Yeah.
No.
That was a whole thing. But
one day Daniel's gonna write a book about all of mine and his arguments. It's like this one time we were in LA, I bought him a coffee and he didn't even drink it.
Oh no.
Yeah, I remember you not drinking your coffee.
I wouldn't even consider that an argument we had, really. I don't think we argue much at all, really. I think things run pretty smooth around here, to be honest. So
We're all adults.
we're all adults, exactly. Yeah, but I mean, they definitely do like keep a certain amount of tabs on what people on the internet are saying about their games because, you know, they hear the feedback. They're listening.
Yeah.
The Nintendo ninjas.
Yeah, that is something they always say, that they're always looking at feedback and stuff, because that's how Skyward Sword turned into Breath of the Wild and Wind Waker turned into Twilight Princess and everything.
Well, even Breath of the Wild's story, like 𝗵𝗲 said, was influenced by people's like fan reactions to the trailer in 2014, like the reveal. Because everybody, when that first trailer dropped, everyone saw the Guardian in it, and we all lost our minds about it, and everyone was making all these Zelda theories and analysis videos and stuff. And then he's like, "Wow, people seem to really like this. We'll just make the whole story about these guys now." Like, yeah.
Which is kind of smart on their part, being like, "Well, let's see what the people like. We'll use that."
Yeah,
that makes
total
sense.
The game is delayed for another year.
Yep.
Turned out good, so I ain't complaining.
Originally, it's just supposed to be like a metal Octorok, basically.
Yeah, I like his comments about, he was like, well, we decided to make it mechanical because the thought of a real Octorok that size sounds gross.
It does sound gross.
And I'm like, I agree. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for giving me that gives me a heart attack and not just makes me want to vomit.
When you find them in Ocarina of Time, like running around 𝗏𝗏𝗏 or Majora's Mask blocking the boat ride, and they're just huge. It's gross.
Yeah. Instead, we just got the robot from The Incredibles. Kayla, are you okay?
What? What robot?
Have you not seen the movie The
One
Incredibles?
that has to destroy itself?
The robot.
Oh my gosh.
And it's got the arms like the Guardian.
Yeah.
Wow, I did not connect those.
That was legit the first thing. What I remember seeing, like the first thing I thought of when I saw a Guardian was it's the robot from The Incredibles.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Every time I think about the Guardian, I just remember like the bass boosted Guardian theme. And now every time I see a Guardian, I only hear the bass boosted version.
I haven't heard this. Okay, you have to send me that.
Oh my god, it's so bad. I'll have to send it to you guys.
Okay.
All I know is every time I start to hear that piano trill, not as much anymore, but definitely for the first several hours of playing that game, every time I heard that piano trill, it was, everyone knows, it's panic inducing. You're like, where is it? Where is it?
Yep.
Or you see the red light on you and you're like, no.
I'm just happy they're not as aggressive as they were in the original trailer, where they're literally chasing after you, and like tearing up bridges and everything.
I don't know.
Yeah, but that trailer was
Chase
awesome.
After you.
I remember loving that trailer.
You'd have to be on a horse to outrun it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they lied. It was like everything you've seen was in game. Like none of that was a cutscene or pre-rendered. And I'm like, sure it was.
Uh-huh.
You can't get those camera angles from playing the game.
It's true.
Yeah, just like imagine like riding around Hyrule Field peacefully, and then a Guardian just shows up and just like tears up the bridge you're running on, and it's like, now how am I gonna cross the river? Like, come on.
You can't. That's the neat part. You can't.
That's the neat part.
This is interesting. Brevin in the chat says, I wonder if they saw everyone's reaction to the 2019 Breath of the Wild sequel trailer and they based their story on that. Except everyone was going, it's underground. Everything's underground. Next trailer. You're in the sky.
Yep, exactly.
Just kidding.
Yeah. I think part of it is they may have based the story of the sequel on fan reactions in our utter fascination with the Zonai from the first game, because they created the Zonai ruins and stuff specifically. It's even a pun, a Japanese pun, granted. It's even a pun that literally is like mystery, and they're just like supposed to be some enigmatic, mysterious race that vanished. And I legit have a hunch that they saw the internet's utter fascination with the Zonai and our incessant theorizing and everything, and they're like, all right, the next game is all about these all about the Zonai. It's gonna be all about that, just because of our I don't know, indulgence into that particular topic. So that's legit what I think. Also dungeons. So yeah.
Yeah.
So it is storming really hard here. So if I end up if I end up being electrocuted, I'll just say good night for now. I don't think I will, but I keep hearing like a lot of booms. So
we had some heat lightning when I was driving home. Maybe it's good it doesn't rain because I had a palmetto bug incident last week, and I'm still not really sitting in my room.
Lightning happens from heat too.
You haven't heard that?
Can you explain?
Like, it's not. It doesn't touch the ground. It's more so like the light just lights up, the sky, like where the clouds are. It's usually at night too when it happens. It's just from the heat between the clouds and the humidity. I think. I'm not a scientist. But you'll just see like these spurts, but there's no like thunder because it's not like an actual bolt hitting the ground or anything like that. It's kind of like those sprites you hear about that happen above the clouds in the higher atmospheres. But yeah, it's we call it lightning, but it's because it looks like lightning, but there's no like actual bolts. There's no thunder or anything like that. But yeah, the heat lightning's the thing, and it can happen when we're nearing rain too. But yeah, it's probably good it doesn't rain here because whenever there's like a change in weather or it rains, I have palmetto bug incidents, and that's why my room is immaculate right now.
That kind of bug.
I can't do another palmetto bug. This time it was on my pillow, and I can't. I'm still not sleeping in my bed properly, and it's been a week.
I feel like we've had at least a dozen podcast episodes that began with the first 30 minutes of us just talking about palmetto bugs.
I hate them.
It does come up a lot.
I've never heard of that bug before.
It's come up a few times
They are
now.
from the south. They are roaches that are bigger, that can fly, that you can hear walking on hard surfaces. They fall off of things easily, hence it fell on my freaking pillow. They don't come into your house because you're dirty. They come into your house because they can't.
They also whisper menacing
can't hurt
things into your
you.
ear at night.
They can't hurt you. I know. They can live without their head. They can survive a nuclear bomb. Okay.
They're huge.
Yes, they're even bigger in Texas and Mexico. They're pretty big in Florida, but they're pretty bigger in Texas and Mexico.
Well,
I'm
see,
not
everything's
traveling,
bigger
I'm
in
staying in
Texas, so
No, it's true.
makes sense.
It's very true.
Wow.
It makes perfect sense.
I just can't. I have a legit phobia of them. I was
don't blame
laying in
you.
my bed, but there was like multiple pillows behind me, and I heard something, and I was like, oh gosh, freaking
back.
palmetto bugs. I have this really strong bug spray that I spray all along the baseboards and the windows and the doors of my apartment one time each week, and it helps a lot. That week I didn't, and it rained. And then I was like, what was that? And I'm looking at my walls. I'm just like editing a video. I'm like, okay, whatever. And I get up, and it was on the pillow behind my freaking head. I haven't had a panic attack in 2 years. The count has now gone down to 0.
I'm officially
Dang.
staying. I'm going further north.
I think I was gonna say I think you'd like it up here,
They're
Geek,
not
because
as
we don't
common
have
as I make
those.
them out to be. They're not as common as I make them out to be. If you're near palm trees or palmetto bushes, that's hence the name. That's where they tend to come from, and
Right.
they're a southern heat humidity thing. So yeah,
See-
they only live like in this area in Mexico. Like in Mexico, they can get like this big. That
See,
should
you're
not
missing
exist.
up, Geek, because these palmetto bugs are secretly.
FBI.
Oh jeez, I forgot what What am I trying to think of?
What are you thinking of?
He's thinking of a different bug. It's probably
No.
something in Legend of Zelda.
Yes,
He's
the
thinking.
Twilight Princess.
The
Light.
golden bugs?
Oh, the
I don't
Bugs.
care what
little
they are.
poodles.
They are demons.
We are officially scaring the chat. The chat is gonna go home and lair their house in bug
So
spray.
you're supposed
Oh,
if
Oh
you
yeah,
kill these
I
bugs.
lathered my room. I lathered my bed. Like my mom's like, "You sprayed your headboard and your box spray." And I was like, "You bet I did." And she was like, "Did it stain it?" And I'm like, "Nope." She was like, "Do you
Oh,
feel
no.
safer?" I was like, "Yes." I slept on my
I-
couch for like 2 nights.
Yeah,
So
you don't get
you're
bugs
supposed
like
to kill
that up
these
here.
bugs,
I'm
and then
good
an
with
orb
that.
of light comes out, and you gather 12 of them and the vessel of light.
I did kill it
Ordon gets revived.
after screaming and crying for an hour.
You know,
And that's not an exaggeration. I have a phobia. Here's the problem. I have a phobia. I have a student that she loves bugs, and I think there do need to be people in the world that love bugs. Like, it's good.
Is her name
There are
Agatha?
some. No. Um, but she was like, why? You know, she was like, why were you so afraid of it? You just pick it up. I was like, don't go there. I was like, as much as you love bugs is how much I hate palmetto bugs specifically. But she always says, she always goes, but they're God's creatures. And I'm like, that he gave us dominion over. And she's like, that's not how this works. And I'm like, it's
Yeah.
how it works in my house.
That's
oh my gosh.
that's gonna be a no from me,
I'm
dog.
like, I agree.
That's-
But then we were given dominion.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
you know
it's
what
like-
bug Jesse's talking about? He's talking about the big bug, the last one that you have to fight in
That's
Lake
probably why I've
Hylia.
been putting off Twilight
Oh.
Princess.
There you go.
That's the bug he's talking about.
There you
Man,
go.
Yeah,
that
the
bug ain't
one at the end of the
You
Lunarium.
fight it like in the
Right.
water or something. Like
Yeah.
you're on
Yeah.
a lake
Yeah.
or something.
The Twilight.
yeah.
It's like a
Bloat.
mini boss.
He's gross. I'll say the only roaches I've ever seen in person in real life was in LA. Like, not anywhere near.
Yep.
Oh,
Not
LA
anywhere
roaches
near.
are like the little dirty roaches. They're there because there's something gross.
Yeah, well, we were at an Airbnb.
Like
So
so-
those-
funny.
If you have the small roaches, that means you are dirty or your close neighbor is dirty. Dirty enough to where it's infesting you.
Oh, I thought that they were just normal in LA because that's what Rick was saying. 𝗟𝗏 was saying that they're pretty normal there.
Because
LA
LA
is
is dirty.
normally pretty gross.
Wow.
And it gets worse and worse by the year.
Yeah, you need to
It
go back
used to
to
be
the
a
fancy.
really cool place. My mom used to visit there a lot when she was like a teenager, young adult, and it wasn't like that. And she said there weren't as many roaches either. That's why you
You-
find them all over New York too.
Nasty.
You probably have to
New
go to like
York's
the
nasty.
fancy parts of Hollywood to not see roaches.
Mm.
Right. Yeah.
No
Or some of
roaches
those
up
more
here.
nature-esque areas like Sacramento.
Welcome
Come
to Canada.
We're safe up here.
Yeah, we get bears sometimes, but no roaches.
Bears.
We got bears. We got cougars. Both kinds of cougars.
Yeah.
And
Um,
moose.
Did you see both kinds?
Yeah.
geese.
We got gators where I am.
Oh yeah, we got them coyotes. Yeah, yeah.
I will say that Florida doesn't really have like big beasts. Like we talk about gators and we joke about them. They're not really a threat. They're really not.
Spoken
Yeah.
like a true Floridian. Them gators, not really a
They're
threat.
They're not.
Oh my gosh.
So, Daniel, do you have a piece of news for us?
I don't.
Is anyone in the chat
think
talking about
so.
any pieces
I think
of
just the
news?
voice
No,
actor thing
everyone's
was.
telling us to stop talking about bugs.
Yeah, it's time to talk about bears instead.
It's like it's Stritch and Agatha
And Beetle.
Even
Don't forget
more
about
than
Beetle.
like-
and Beetle. Yes, Stritch,
His
Agatha,
name
and
literally
Beetle.
is.
Yeah.
How
But
could we forget about
none of them
Master
collect
Beetle?
roaches.
Daniel, I know you're not allowed to tell us because of your NDA, but did Nintendo hire you to voice act Beetle?
No,
They should.
he didn't. No, of course not. I could only wish. I would love that. I love Beetle. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
But
I will say Australia has the worst bugs. I'm sorry.
oh, Australia, yeah, Australia. Everything wants to kill you.
Australia has the deadly everything.
Australia,
Cody.
yeah, yeah.
I have a friend from college, her professor is from there, and he was like, you just have to stay around the coast. You don't go inland. No one lives inland. in Australia. That's how you die. From snake bites and spider bites and
Today I learned.
The
spiders
bugs
that
in
literally fall
Australia
out of light
are
sockets.
so bad that when they show up, they actually have a health bar above them. And that's
Oh my lord.
that's how you know it's bad.
When you see the health bar,
Sometimes some dramatic music starts playing, and you're like, oh no, where's the bug?
Yeah. You have to look to your left, and you just see someone with an iPod just pressing play, and then the music starts.
There you go. Well, we should move on from this disgusting topic that I hate.
What else did you have planned for us, Daniel?
Well, I guess we're going to do our weekly dungeon tier list.
Before we do that, really quick, going
Yeah.
across.
Hmm?
What's the cool game everyone's been playing this week?
Ooh. Oh, I'll go first, I guess. I've been playing Ori, and actually I've been playing both Ori and the Blind Forest and Ori and the Will of the Wisps. So both Ori games. And the reason is because I started playing... I played Ori and the Blind Forest, the first game, before, a couple times. Love it. I bought the Ori collection so that I could stream both games. Now I'm on the second one, but it's my first time playing the second one. So I've been streaming it, and I'm like, well, I want to keep that like being my like first impressions still, like a blind playthrough. But I really still want to play Ori, so I started a new save file that I've been playing on my own time of the first game again. So I'm like playing the first game on my spare time, and then playing the second game on stream. It's gonna confuse my muscle memory a bit, just because the controls are tweaked a little bit different. But they're so good. Those games are incredible, absolutely incredible games. Really just visually gorgeous as well. Yeah, great games. I also just finished 𝗀𝗃 and the Bridge of Spirits. Really lovely game as well.
Is it pronounced Kana? I thought it was Kenna.
I thought it was 𝗀𝗃 too until I started playing the game, and then all the characters in the game, because it's voice acted, all of them pronounce it 𝗀𝗃, and I'm like, all right, I guess I've been saying it wrong.
Is it
So-
CANA?
It's KENA. But they all pronounce it 𝗀𝗃.
Just kidding.
A
So
while back when the game first released, and it was around the time that I got the skateboard game for you guys. I was on a call with one of them, and I pronounced it Kina, and now I feel weird.
That's great.
wow. Now you know.
But
Yeah, that's what I've been. That's what
That
I've been
game was
playing.
actually good because I have it and I couldn't get past the intro.
It's good.
because
No,
I was...
it's really good.
Okay.
It's pretty short.
Alright.
Yeah, I love it.
I would say you could probably
It's
beat it in
like
about
they
15
really loved
hours.
Wind Waker.
But it's really lovely, really fun. I would say it has sort of a action platformer progression that's pretty linear, but then it's got like Horizon Zero Dawn's like combat. If that makes sense. Anyway, it's pretty good. It's very fun, really unique game. Also very lovely visually.
It reminded me.
Mm-hmm.
It reminded me a lot of like if you took Wind Waker and Breath of the Wild and Majora's Mask and just put it all together. Because there's like a big thing of like masks, and there's these little things that you have to find that remind me of the Koroks in Breath of the Wild, and then there's this evil gook that's covering up paths to go, like the malice that you have to kill the eyeballs to get past. And it's like these people played Breath of the Wild, and just like
They've been playing Zelda, but also like the art style. It's like almost like a Pixar movie, like its art direction. Like it's really good.
Like,
it's really
just from what I've seen of
impressive.
the game, it looks great.
Yeah, it's fantastic. The cutscenes are like top tier, and actually, it's their first game, that studio, and it's very impressive in that fact. But the only other thing I've seen them do is they're the studio that made that Majora's Mask fan animation called 𝗟𝗶𝘃𝗁, where it's like almost the animation is like a Skull Kid finding or like mugging the mask salesman and getting the mask, and it's like super creepy. Really great animation. Definitely go watch that. But yeah, it's like really cool seeing them go from that, doing this like big fan project, to like actually publishing their own game. Yeah, very impressive. Very impressive. So yeah, go look up Ember Labs, I guess. So great
I mean,
studio.
I have the game, so that just inspires me to actually pick it up.
There you go. there you go. Now you've been. I was late to the party with that one though. When did it come out? It was a couple years ago, and I only just played through it. So.
I don't.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, it was like a year at most.
It was at the same time that the Skatebird game came out.
Yeah, so not even a year, like a couple of months.
Last year.
I got the codes for those two games at the same time.
All right.
Because I remember Daniel seeing that Nintendo Direct and was like, "Oh my god, guys, we need to get this game." And I was like, "Do you really want it? Because I can get it for you."
Most complicated game. It's so hard.
Yeah, Skatebird was tricky to get the hang of.
And came at the same time, and I was like, "Okay, cool." And you never did the stream for it. So, Tubes, what game could you possibly have been playing lately?
Today, I beat Tunic, which is the most lovely little... It's definitely inspired by Legend of Zelda. Absolutely. You're basically Fox... No. You're basically Fox Link. That's the words I'm trying to say. You're basically Fox Link. You're wearing this little green tunic, you have a sword and a shield, and you're going around killing stuff. And it's super cute. It's very, very, very difficult. The fight style, we would liken it probably more to like one of the like the Souls games, so like Dark Souls. Lots of dodging, lots of mechanics around that. And yeah, I beat it on stream today. It had 2 separate endings, and it was lovely the whole way through. It was the perfect level of difficult and adorable. I'm kind of sad that it's over. We had actually mentioned that the puzzles, they have this one puzzle that is very cryptic, and it's like you have to enter in kind of like cheat codes on the D-pad, but it's not very clear that that's something that needs to be done. I had to Google that to find out how to finish the game.
Right, we were saying, like, when I was watching your stream earlier, that it's like, I love a good puzzle in a game, but like, I'd like to at least know the puzzle exists and that it's there. And like, Tunic's puzzles, some of them were so cryptic. It's like, oh, this weird random pattern on the carpet of the floor is actually a puzzle, and you're supposed to input these things. Like, who would it? What? Like, no one. How would you know that? How would anyone know that? Yes, it's.
Yeah.
But great game. I haven't played it, but it looked fantastic. Yeah.
Great game. 100% recommend it. It's a little like indie game. And yeah, I'm just bumping along. Go back to Twilight Princess, and then probably Skyward Sword after that.
They should really put Tunic on Switch, though. Switch could run it.
They should.
Yeah, they really should. I think it's a great fit for Switch.
Yeah. Big agree.
Geek, have you been playing anything lately?
I think I spent 5 minutes on Animal Crossing yesterday and pulled some weeds. I normally stream on Fridays, but I haven't been able to, and I won't be able to tomorrow either, because I'm covering for another teacher who's going to her brother's graduation. So I'm like, I have not been playing games. And I've had more time, but I've been using that time to do other things. Technically, via stream, I've been back and forth toggling between Twilight Princess HD and Kirby and the Forgotten Land. So I guess you can count those, but if you don't count Animal Crossing for 5 minutes, I haven't played anything in like over 2 weeks. I think
Kirby's
I played
also a
Sims
good
for
one,
a little
though.
bit. Oh yeah, I'm enjoying that, and I think that's why I was getting frustrated with Twilight Princess for whatever reason, and then so I was like, oh well, Kirby came out, and Kirby's easier. I was gonna get Switch Sports, but now I'm kind of rethinking it after watching a ton of reviews now, and I'm like, maybe if I can play with other people, maybe. I kind of want to do Ring Fit now that my room's really clean, and I still owe my stream 6 hours worth of Ring Fit from last summer.
Oh.
But in my defense, and they all understood, after I got the hernia and had to have surgery, I couldn't physically do Ring Fit for a long time.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like, I'll pay this back eventually.
Yeah. No, your health comes first, right? Like, so.
Oh yeah. I'm good now though, so I just can't lift props or children over 50 pounds.
Aww.
What about cats?
As long as they're under 50 pounds.
So most house cats at least. Maybe not wild cats.
You should be able to. Probably not. I don't know why I'd pick up a wild cat.
Because they're fuzzy.
So I won't be picking up any gators.
No gators.
Sorry. I forgot that she's a shoulder cat. That's why this is happening.
Look at that butt.
That butt. You're gonna have to just swivel in your chair and just do the rest of the podcast like this, so that we that we can see her.
That was another reason Miyamoto told Aonuma that Wolf Link was a bad idea. He's like, nobody wants to stare at a wolf's butt the whole game.
Fair.
So Daniel, do you have some topic that you could
Trying to push you into doing our tier list.
maybe?
All right,
Yeah.
let's do it.
I need to start
let's get
looking
to
up
that.
the dungeon things.
Let's get to that. I've just gotta fix my layout here for one moment.
Telltale Heights.
That just licked my ear.
How was it?
It was terrible.
Terrible.
Well, yeah, sandpaper tongues.
Oh.
Oh dear.
Yeah,
Sandpaper tongues are not fun.
cats have like teeny tiny. They're not bones. They're kind of like bones, but they like stick out of the little holes in
Yeah,
its tongue,
it's
and then they lick with that.
Yeah.
Which game are we doing? Link's Awakening?
Yeah, so
Yep.
Link's Awakening. So we've already done Ocarina of Time, Wind Waker, and Skyward Sword. Actually,
Can we do Banjo-Kazooie next?
No.
we could,
Okay.
but
Could.
it would be
Absolutely
it would be
could.
divisive because, like, for Banjo-Kazooie's case, there's some worlds that I have such a love-hate relationship with. Like Click Clock Woods, I love conceptually,
I love Clockwood.
but I hate playing through it. Click Clock Woods is the level that made me rage quit Banjo-Kazooie on stream. And
Click Clock Woods.
I don't rage quit things. I don't. I beat Trial of the Sword and Breath of the Wild on Master Mode with only 13 hearts, because that's the minimum that you can do, in one try, no rage quitting, but Click Clock Woods made me rage quit. So
Don't
And
collect
you-
all of the
I
jiggies.
don't like winter, but I like all the other
You
ones.
and Chubes streamed that one level of Super Mario 3D World, Super Mario 3D World, like for 20 hours.
we
I
did.
remember
did.
that.
We did. Was
One
it
level,
Champions
20
Row?
hours, like 3 streams.
It was brutal, but I don't rage quit things. I'm persistent, but Click Clock Woods made me rage quit. So that tells you something. But
I mean,
but I
this is the
love it
best way possible.
conceptually.
That makes me feel so good. Because I can beat Click Clock Wood just fine.
Really? Oh my god.
And I'm not good at gaming.
Oh no. I mean, I was trying to get 100% and all the notes.
Oh no, I don't do
And
that.
that's what was like really just doing it for me. But anyways, today's dungeon tier list, we're gonna do Link's Awakening dungeons because it's a great game. Fantastic game. And I think its dungeons have a lot of variety. I don't know. Plus, it's a game we've all played, so so we haven't
There you
all
go.
played all games. I'd say between all four of us, we've all played all the games, but not. Or between all four of us, we played all the games in the series, but
Right.
not all of us have played every game. So you know, it is what it is. So for Link's Awakening. For those watching and they're like, what are they talking about? What's this thing? What's this tier list? We're doing the tier list for all the dungeons here. We've already done, like I said, Ocarina of Time, Wind Waker, Skyward Sword. You can actually find on the official Hylian Gamescast Twitter page, I posted the other tier lists that we've already completed as well. If you want to go raise an eyebrow or be like, why is the Water Temple A tier? What's wrong with you people? So, but yes, Link's Awakening. The first dungeon, the Tail Cave. Where are we feeling for that one?
Sorry, it's not supposed to be that loud.
I would say B as well. I was gonna say B also, actually. Yeah, C. But why do you say B?
Because it's not that memorable.
Mm-hmm.
No, wait. Yeah. Okay, yeah. It's not that memorable. That's my excuse. And yeah, it's more fun getting to it than it is playing through the actual dungeon.
That's fair. I will say it's very
Right.
short, and it doesn't have the same
Yeah.
sort of incredible, like, setting the stage first dungeon impact that, say, like the Deku Tree has, or you know, where it's like the Deku Tree is a really short dungeon as well, but it sets the tone, it sets the stage for the rest of the game. And it's like a really great
Mhm.
tutorial. I would say 𝗏𝗏𝗃 does fall a little short in that regard, but I also don't think it's bad by any means either. It just feels kind of like, yeah, it's like it's good, but not great. Yeah.
Short. It's an easy dungeon.
I will say
And,
𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗏
yeah,
as a boss is like just a string of burgers. I don't care for him too much.
Right? It looks like burgers.
he definitely looks like burgers, especially in like the remake.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
No,
Midnight.
I don't think that the musical theme is all that memorable. I was just re-listening to it. I was like, I don't even remember this being in the game. I was honestly gonna say it's an average dungeon, not bad, but average and say C tier.
Oh, see, okay. Shoot, what were you gonna
Not
say
because
there
it's bad.
as
'Cause
well?
It's not. It's average.
I totally cut you off before, Kayla. I'm sorry, but
I think I was just talking about burgers and the fact that Midna was cleaning herself on stream.
oh, okay.
Nothing
okay.
important.
Is the dungeon item the Rock's Feather though? Is that right? Pretty sure that's it. And
Yeah.
I will say I do love the Rock's Feather. And
That is a good item.
That is a
good
good
item.
item.
And I think, I mean, I have a bias where I love items in Zelda that improve mobility in some way. Hook shots, the spinner, things like that are always like items that I really love. But I would say that's like really the best part of the dungeon is just that you get the Rock's Feather from it.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, especially if you play the Switch version of Link's Awakening. If you do, it's totally optional, but you can do the 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗏's Dungeon Builder 101 course university.
Yeah.
And if you do that, you'll end up having to fight 𝗏𝗏𝗏 so many times. It's absurd and annoying. And that makes me like him even less.
See, you need lights in your dungeon. What's going on?
Yeah, Jesse.
Tell
If
Daniel.
I could design your
Daniel.
dungeon design, I would put more lights in there.
Yeah, I agree. I think that C is probably a good spot for it.
It is.
What is this
Yeah.
book you have, Geek? What is
It
this?
came with.
Jesse has it
game.
too.
Why?
That's the book I had.
Why don't I
It
have
may have
that?
been only in the States. It was a release, like pre-order thing.
We didn't.
At
get
least
that.
in the US it was.
It's the Dreamer art book.
I don't have
Canada
that.
hates us.
Yeah, I never got that. All right, well, next is the Bottle Grotto.
Yeah, that's in here too.
What?
Ooh, 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗏 hates that last dungeon. He ranks it as a D.
D? Oh my gosh.
He hates it.
Oh my gosh, really? D for 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗏. That's
My
rough.
goodness.
That's
And
rough.
before 𝗏𝗏𝗃 just ranks them all as D.
D, everything's D tier. No, there's some good ones. I think I would put Bottle Grotto over in C with 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗏, actually. I think it's pretty of a dungeon.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's not bad, per se.
I don't like the boss. He's weird looking.
He's weird.
Which one is the boss again here?
The genie.
Oh yeah, I hate the
𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗏.
genie. I pushed him out of my memory.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
didn't remember this music theme either. There's a few dungeons I know the
This
thing.
one.
But
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually really don't like him. I might
hate him.
I might say even bumping this Bottle Grotto down to D just because I hate that boss so much. He's so annoying.
I don't
Um,
feel
So
L.
And the
Is-
power bracelet.
Oh.
Power
I just
Bracelet is an
listened about-
underwhelming
Mhm.
item, I would say. It's just
Yeah.
pick up rock.
Like if we leave it in C, it's below 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗏 because of the Rock's Feather.
Yeah, it's like a
Yeah.
worse version of the Goron bracelet.
I'll say like 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, the boss of 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗏, is like kind of annoying. He's not a great boss, but I don't hate him the way I hate the genie
Right.
in Bottle Grotto. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I would say the best part about Bottle Grotto is that you get Bow Wow leading up to the dungeon, but that's leading up to the dungeon,
Yeah.
not playing
Yeah.
through the dungeon.
Yeah.
But I love Bow Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Christine looks like an Animal Crossing character.
Yes. You're not wrong.
That's it.
She do indeed.
You've cracked the code.
Bring her to Animal Crossing, right next to Wolf Link. Let's go.
There you go. There you go. All right.
Oh my
we
god.
have-
Chef Bear? How cute.
I like the chef bear. I think
Oh yes.
the whole animal village is pretty fun in Link's Awakening.
Jesse going through this book
Oh, yeah.
like he's never seen any of this before.
I looked through this once and I'm going, oh.
It's the fox from Tunic.
There you go. That's where he got his Tunic inspiration from. He saw Link going through Koholint Island, and he's like, I'm gonna do
Oh.
that.
Sure does look tunicky foxy.
Yeah. Yeah. So
All right.
𝗏𝗃 is I actually
Did
want
you
to
say
put
P
𝗏𝗃
cavern?
in B
Yeah.
tier. I like the
Oh,
Pegasus
key. I thought you
boots.
said P.
The 𝗏𝗃. Blech. No, 𝗏𝗃 is, I would say, like a really interesting dungeon because there's a lot of like branching paths and stuff, which I really like.
Yeah.
And Pegasus boots are fun. I like items that grant more mobility. I'm always a fan of that. And the boss is again underwhelming, but overall the rest of the dungeon is good, better
Not
than
terrible.
the previous two. But I'm saying B, but what do you guys think?
This one.
The music's better than the other two, so I would be okay with B or C.
The music's better.
Yeah, Geek bases all of her
Music is
rankings
all I
on the
care about.
music.
Remember last stream, someone asked my favorite Zelda theme.
It broke her.
I broke.
Yeah,
I literally broke.
that was rough.
I give it a B
Not a good
plus.
A B plus. Why do you give
I
it
was
a
gonna say
plus?
B minus.
B minus, y'all. Wow. All right. Well, that's still within the realm of B. So
I do like Link's Awakening, I promise. I actually really like Link's Awakening.
I think Link's Awakening's dungeons, just in general, like the curve, it gets better as it goes for the most part.
Yeah,
Um.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, the first couple dungeons are kind of a whiff, I would say.
Yeah, I'd put this in a B, I think.
B is good. B is good.
But it's also a game where it was just kind of like, let's see what happens if we try this. So
Yeah, it is
give it some
very,
leniency for that.
very like experimental in a lot of ways, for sure.
Yeah, it was a handful of people staying after and just not making a game, but just making something for fun. Mostly it was just the fishing game.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest of the people at Nintendo were like, if you're going to be working on this on company time, you should at least make a game out of it. And they're like,
Yeah.
I guess so.
I guess so. I mean, it makes sense. Yeah. So. Yeah. All right. So B, where I would say aligned on that. So next we have the English Tunnel. And
Love the music for this one.
Yeah, the
English
music for
Tunnel.
English Tunnel's really good.
I do like English Tunnel a lot, actually.
I don't like the boss. I mean, he's easy,
The boss, the
which
Anglerfish
I always like,
is
but
too easy. I would
fish.
critique it for that.
it's too easy for me. What
There
does
you
that
go.
tell you?
There you go.
Which is funny because you think with an underwater mechanic it would be impossible because everyone hates being underwater, right?
Right. You would think so, but no.
What was the dungeon item?
The dungeon item is the flippers, because you can swim. Again, mobility.
Oh, yeah.
Is he the boss?
More mobility. Yes,
Yeah,
that's
that's
Yeah,
the
that
English
ugly
fish.
thing.
But I do think that even though the flippers are kind of an underwhelming item, but I think that the dungeon's layout, like there's a lot of those like stop and
I
think
like the
moments about the
dungeon itself.
navigation and stuff, that I think is really quite good, actually. Yeah. So have we actually set a letter for this? For this?
I'm
See.
gonna be okay with like high B or low A.
Yeah.
I'm being
Oh.
generous, but I really like the music and the theme and the dungeon itself, even if I don't like the boss or care too much for the flippers.
All right. No, I like the whole ambience of the dungeon a lot too, I would say.
It's got a very good
Yeah.
ambience and it was just kind of fun,
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
it was definitely where I felt the game dungeon-wise was picking up.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, that's terrifying.
Jesse's chair or something is creaking and I was like,
I
man,
know, I was like, "Is that your stomach, dude?"
Oh.
that's polite. I was gonna say something else.
No.
Hope not. Hope not.
Catfish's maw is terrifying.
Catfish's Maw
this-
Oh,
is
this theme, my god.
an A tier dungeon for me.
Catfish.
No joke. The Catfish's Maw, I think, is a
Maw.
fantastic dungeon.
This is. I forgot
Oh my
about
God.
this thing.
The first level looks like a smiley face.
Oh, it
With
does.
its tongue sticking out.
Very
It
jumpy.
does.
Also, hook shot.
Hook shot, great item, fantastic item. Again, there's the navigational aspect of it is really cool. There's the whole gimmick with the mid boss where you have to fight him like a couple times, which is a little annoying, but he's at least not too hard, so it's like not too bad.
Yeah.
Master Stuffos.
That's what he's called. Yeah, that Stalfos
Yeah.
guy.
And then Goma. That's the word Goma.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't care much for the boss himself.
The boss that like hides.
Yeah.
And you don't
And
know
you have to
its
like
hole
hook
to
shot
come
him,
through.
his tongue
Yeah.
out or whatever to like drag him out of the hole. But again, the rest of the dungeon is like super good. I think Link's Awakening is just a little weak in the boss department overall, except for maybe like the final boss. So there is that. But
I
yeah,
had to do that one a couple times.
but yeah, I think the navigation, the hook shot, the ambience of it, I think yeah, it's just a great dungeon. I think it's really good.
I'd be okay with A.
Hey.
So be
A or
okay with
B.
A.
All right. Sweet. Then this brings us to Face Shrine, which
I
for
love
me
the face shrine.
S tier, honestly.
Oh.
Rover?
I love it. I even like
It's-
the boss.
It's
That's high praise.
super good. It's honestly
It's a big thing for me.
I will say, and this is more on Geek's train of thought than mine. The music for Face Shrine, especially particularly in the Link's Awakening remake for Switch, is divine. It's like it has no right being as good as it is. It's an incredible piece of music. But yeah, Face
It's
Shrine is
one of
just
those themes
so good.
very similar to like the Force Dungeon of Ocarina of Time and a few other themes that you use it in theory videos when you're about to talk about something intense.
For sure.
That's when you use it. It's
And
one
the
of those
weapons-
themes.
Powerful bracelet.
Power bracelet.
Power
yeah.
bracelet. Yeah. The thing is, yeah, the item is a bit underwhelming, but I don't know. I find everything else about the dungeon to be like just so. Again, the boss underwhelming, the item not great either, but like just that navigation, the whole vibe, the ambience is like something about
The
Face
boss
Shrine is
concept
so good.
Cool.
It's so good.
Especially the end once you do defeat him and he's like, you don't understand what you're doing, you know,
Mm.
that whole thing. I actually
Yeah.
kind of like the power bracelet if for no other reason, unless I'm totally misremembering this. The amount of times I would accidentally walk to a rock and he'd be like, you're not strong enough to lift this. I'm like, I know, shut up.
Right.
And then you get the power bracelet and you're like, finally.
I'm
Fine. I
powerful.
can lift it. Yeah.
So
No,
I'd
that's
agree
true.
with S. Like, this one's worthy of S to me. I love it.
It's like Ocarina of Time, when you can just run around Hyrule Field after you beat the game and just pick up all the giant boulders and throw them.
Yeah.
Huh.
But I will say for the story of the game, Face Shrine is kind of the turning point. Where just before the dungeon, you learn, there's that mural where you read it and it's like talking about, and then you start like questioning, is this real? Is this the dream world? Like what's going on, right? So
Yeah.
it's that story turning point for the game, which is really, really interesting. And yeah, like the whole vibe, the music is just super incredible. I think it's super good dungeon. Yeah. So Geek and I have praised this one enough. Anyone, Jesse, any other thoughts about Face Shrine? We're powering through this faster than usual.
Everyone else is saying B or A.
B is wrong. Sorry.
I give
You
it an A. I've changed mine to an A.
You change yours to an A. I'm fine with it being an S.
All
It's
right.
just like you said, like it's one of those strong turning points in the game, and I think that plays a lot of a role as well.
Yeah, just like for the
I
game's
like what
story.
Jorge said in the chat about my ranking. Geek be ranking like, it's okay, but the music.
The music. True.
You're not wrong.
The
True.
music is super important though, because that's what sets the tone of the dungeon, right?
Oh,
like
totally.
you go into the dungeon, you get hit by that music, and you're immediately immersed. If they don't do that music properly, then that dungeon is hard to really get into.
The
Right?
music is so depressing in that one. You're like, why
Why?
Yeah.
are we mourning suddenly?
Yeah.
Okay.
When I first played the Switch version of Link's Awakening, like properly at home, I'll just say this outright. It's a subtle brag, but I have a pretty good sound system in my living room and my TV. Nice sound bar, big subwoofer. I'm very happy with it.
Yeah, he's got a nice living room.
I try. The dungeon music for Face Shrine made me audibly say out loud, "Oh wow." Like just to myself when I was in there, I was like, "Oh wow, this is really good." Like that doesn't happen very much when you're just sitting by yourself in the dark playing a video game. Like what? You don't just go, "Oh wow" to yourself. So that's something. That's something. Eagles Tower. I would also throw this into S, to be honest. I think Eagles Tower.
I love the music.
So good. I love.
But I
Eagles
don't
Tower.
like the boss.
The boss is. I like that the boss is outside the dungeon, like on the top of the tower.
Yeah,
I think that's
kind of cool.
super cool.
It makes sense.
I also love the gimmick of you basically have to like break those pillars that are kind of around the dungeon. And you can kind of do them in any order.
Okay, that is cool.
And then it lowers it combines like the third and fourth floor into one. And so you have you sort of manipulate the dungeon in a way, or you have to make a change to the physical dungeon to progress, which is incredible if you think about that. This was a Game Boy game. Like, what? You know?
I know. That's so nutty.
Yeah, right? Like that's ambitious. Yeah, so I don't know. I think it's a great dungeon through and through. I really do. Even though it's pretty difficult.
Mirror shield.
The mirror shield's
I'd be
great.
okay with S. Remembering that mechanic with the columns, yeah.
I'll say regarding the mirror shield, Link's Awakening has my favorite version of the mirror shield because it actually, aside from just bosses, it actually reflects enemy projectiles, like the name implies. And like no other game does that, or no other Zelda game does that.
I can reflect things.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool. Oh, it's shiny.
And the boss, Evil Eagle.
Yeah. The big bird guy. I like that the mid boss, he comes back as the boss as well.
Grim Creeper.
Yeah, he shows up as the mid boss. He gets all angry that you killed all his little birds.
He's not the Grim Reaper, but the Grim Keeper.
The Grim Keeper.
Yeah, I like that name. The Grim Creeper.
Grim Creeper.
Right?
I like
Grim
that,
Creeper.
actually.
Grim Creeper. It's hard to say because all the R's.
Is this the Switch thing you were talking about?
The which?
The little switch that you
The
hit?
Switch thing.
Oh yeah.
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 Yeah, no, it's ambitious. Really great dungeon.
I think it's so crazy. Like, if you look outside of it, aside from like the remake, and think about the Game Boy version, like these dungeons were so ahead of their time.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I'm wondering if that's why the bosses are so lackluster, because it's Game Boy, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably what it is.
The only Game Boy game I've ever played that I struggled with was Elmo's 1, 2, 3, and I don't know why.
What? Oh no. Oh no.
Oh goodness.
That's great. Well,
All right.
Turtle Rock is next.
Turtle Rock.
I have mixed feelings about Turtle Rock. To be
What
honest.
about 𝗏𝗏 Mountain Range?
Sorry?
Not a dungeon. I love the music, but it's not a dungeon.
I like the vibe of the place a lot, and I like the navigational side. The item, the magic wand or rod, is also pretty dang cool. But I don't know, I do feel like Turtle Rock in some ways overstays its welcome a little bit. And also like the navigational side is a little obtuse in my opinion.
The
like
bosses
there's a
are
difficulty spike.
Hothead and Blano.
Yeah.
Yeah. I frankly don't remember this dungeon.
I'm
And the
surprised
music
because it's
isn't that
long.
great.
It's a long dungeon. It's like a really long.
It
I may have
is.
blocked it out.
You may have blocked it out. You're like, oh, I had to suffer through that dungeon. I don't want to remember.
I usually look forward to Turtle Rock because it's one of the recurring dungeons in the game that's not based off of a temple.
Well, Turtle Rock is in A Link to the Past, Link's Awakening, and then A Link Between Worlds. I think that's it, right? Just the three. And it was some think it was planned for Ocarina of Time initially, but got cut.
Like me.
But we don't know.
Originally Dodongo's Cavern.
Maybe not. I don't know. I do kind of like that you you like fight a boss to enter the dungeon, and then you have to go in. But yeah, I don't know. I remember this is one I always struggle with, and again, I'm like a water temple stan. I love a hard dungeon with tricky navigation, but I find Turtle Rock kind of goes on a little too long. and the boss, you just spam the magic wand or magic rod at him a bunch, and then that's it. It's just kind of, he just like dances around in the lava. You just like keep shooting at him.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a little long. It starts to feel a little bit disconnected.
And you're so close to the end. You're like, come on.
Lena looks like a penguin with boxing gloves. It's so cute.
Yeah. I like that.
No,
That's
I'm
the
probably
mid-boss.
thinking like a high B.
A B?
That's how I feel. I feel like a high B. The chat is saying A, but I feel like a high B.
I would
Especially
go-
because like
I'd be good with that.
all of us are kind of like, I mean, yeah, it's a dungeon technically.
It's more of a meh. I give it a meh.
A meh? Alright, I think B is a fair placement for it. I would say that's fair. The color dungeon. Now this was not in the original. This was added to Link's
totally
Awakening
forgot about that.
DX and then carried into Switch version. For me, I would put color dungeon right up into A tier personally. I think it's really fantastic, although it doesn't do a lot with the color theme, to be honest. Other than like there's some puzzles that require you to like match colors, but there's also shapes, like you can match the shapes instead of the colors. It's just as but I guess the whole point was because it was the Link's Awakening DX had color and they really wanted to push that. But I do like that the dungeon item, it gives you a choice between dungeon items. Like you can either take improved defense or offense.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's really cool. So like the blue or red tunic. And there's no wrong choice, you know, like those are both good options. And yeah, I just think like navigation wise is pretty good. There's a lot of cool puzzles in it. And it's good. And the boss is kind of interesting because he kind of like changes a bunch, doesn't he? Yeah.
It's like a big switch.
Yeah. People are not happy about us putting Turtle Rock into B tier, apparently. I'm sorry, Rick. I'm sorry.
The real question is...
Did I say high B? I said high B.
You said high
What
B.
tier do we put 𝗏𝗏 in?
Where do we put
S plus?
𝗏𝗏? It's hard to say because you make your own dungeon. So it could be S or like F, you know, like, or anywhere in between.
Okay. So if you're playing my dungeon, it's an F. Easy.
Yeah.
If you're playing mine, it's a Z. It doesn't exist.
He just agrees. Burger hates me.
Oh no.
Crazy.
Oh.
𝗙cie mention? Wait,
So
what was 𝗙cie mention?
𝗙cie Mansion is not a dungeon. It's just like a house where because you have to collect the secret shells, the seashells, and then you get items depending on how many you've collected. So you can get the improved
So you're saying
sword there.
Crazy Tracy is not a boss?
That's correct. Crazy Tracy actually gives you special lotion that acts like a fairy because fairies act like potions. It's a weird game, guys. It's a weird game.
It really is. It has
People-
Kirby in it.
People think that Link's Awakening is a weird game because of its story that involves taking place in a dream world of a giant fish. But the real reason Link's Awakening is a weird game is because you have to trade dog food for bananas with an alligator. So
Yeah, that one's weird.
And it had Skyward Sword hint in the call game.
That's true. That's true. It did. It had the Loftwing statue. Yeah, it's a good game though. It's a great game. Link's
As
Awakening.
Yoshi.
So no objections to Color Dungeon being up there in A tier, I guess. Then we're all
Oh, I'm fine with that.
all right. That brings us
Yeah.
to egg. The egg.
Egg.
Egg. Now
Oh, I forgot what the egg sounds like.
I have mixed feelings about the egg because as far as like the dungeon side of things goes, It's lackluster. It's basically just like a Lost Woods style labyrinth, like go in the correct directions, and it's random, so it's not like you can memorize it. You have to like find it in the library. So you have to like find the solution to the dungeon outside the dungeon, which I actually don't care for.
Yeah.
But like so yeah, that whole like dungeon side of it is pretty lackluster, but the final boss is the nightmare, and it's really good. I really love the final boss
really
in Link's
good.
Awakening.
Yeah.
It's a great final boss. So I'm a little torn up about where to put this one, because you have basically lackluster dungeon, but the best boss in the game, right? So thoughts?
I give it A.
Jesse says A. Okay.
Because
I think the music could have been better too.
S boss, C dungeon, A overall. Like a mid to low A.
I think that's reasonable.
That logic checks out.
That's reasonable. Also, egg.
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 Are you guys E for egg?
E
You guys
for egg.
really hate this boss or what?
Even though I had a hard time with the boss, I appreciated it. That's for sure. I may not have sounded like it when I was streaming it, but I always loved the existential thought of it. It was like I'm literally trying to defeat
The
my
existential.
That was not intended.
Excellent work.
I hate it. Oh my god.
Look, we're gonna be making puns here all day. No exceptions. So I'm
Excuses.
Yeah, I got it.
sorry. Excuses. She's like, no more puns. I'm out. Will you excuse me? I'm sorry. I can't stop. I need to stop.
We know you're just excited.
I'm just excited because egg.
You're gonna have to, or you're gonna have to exit.
Guys, please.
Oh no, we're gonna lose all our subscribers for this. We got a
give us
super
the-
chat
Eat
though.
3 eggs a day. I don't want any more eggs in my life.
That's
Give,
fair. That's fair.
What? Give us the extraordinary list you put together for the tier.
For the tier.
What?
I don't know what you're saying.
Yeah, the tier list. We went through all the dungeons.
Well, we
Yeah.
have a super chat first.
Yes. From Aaron.
Aaron.
Go ahead.
Who wants to read it? We're all reading it? Okay.
You do it.
Do you think the remake should have done more to improve on the dungeon/bosses since the original was on the Game Boy? He super chats $10, and I would say no. Personally, like I don't know, maybe it's the nostalgia factor of it, and going back and playing these things and kind of going through something that was old but now new.
Mm-hmm.
For me, that was a really fun experience.
Yeah.
I do get it though. Like I feel like the bosses could have been cranked up like a little, but even then, like there's no way to really do that without totally changing the boss, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was by its design. It wasn't necessarily like the design is what made it easy.
Yeah, and
So,
there is
you
something
would
to
have had to
respect
change the
about
design.
how faithful of a remake this is, but also the ways that it does modernize it, which is mostly the controls, which were like my biggest critique, or my biggest criticism of the original Link's Awakening was those controls. I thought the controls stank. They sucked, especially going from A Link to the Past on Super Nintendo to Link's Awakening on the Game Boy. It was not a recession, or it was like a step backwards, and
Yeah.
Link's Awakening on Switch fixes all of those issues through and through. The item selection,
Not having to constantly
not-
switch your items.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
yeah, like people
'Cause
complain
you
about
have
the
more
water
than A and
temple
B.
in Ocarina of Time, where you have to switch your iron boots constantly and pausing to switch your iron boots. No, Link's Awakening has you do that. That's such a more annoying degree because, and I'd say this is one of Link's Awakening's strengths, is because it uses all of your items consistently through the whole game, which is great because a lot of other Zelda games don't do that, or they just they forget to include your items. But Link's Awakening makes good use of like everything in your arsenal. But because of that, in the original, you're constantly pausing and switching items because you have only 2 buttons. You can't even have your sword and shield equipped at the same time for whatever reason. And you can't have your sword and shield and your boots equipped at the same time, let alone the power glove to lift things up, and then your sword, and then the hook shot. Like, it's this constant pause and switching, and it's so annoying. I hate it. But yeah, again, like, that is just completely fixed in the Switch version, just by the advent of more buttons, and it's wonderful. It's
That's why the Oracle games need to come.
Yeah. So I would say, like, that is
That would be cool.
that is the strength of Link's Awakening on Switch, is like how it fixes those issues while still being really faithful to the rest of the game's design, because it lets what basically makes what was an issue in the first game, that constant item switching, into a strength of the game's design overall, because you're like, oh, all these items are integrated into all of the level design and everything. So it's great. It's great. Also, I love it in the chat.
Yeah.
TP Spinner, I'm looking at you. That's exactly what I was thinking of.
Also, the other thing is, like, most of the time when we see remakes or port overs, it's normally just, like, you know, a graphical improvement or a couple of, like, quality of life things. Whereas with Link's Awakening, that remake, like, they had to build it visually from the ground up. Which I think, I don't know. I think that they did a really good job with it. I have no qualms.
High five, Grizzo.
Yeah.
And I would also say, too, it's a decent both worlds mix, I would say, because obviously for those of us who were around when the original came out, I wasn't born when the original came out, but I was around when the DX version came out. But so for us, it's a nice nostalgia trip, but being able to play it with less frustration because of the buttons. But then I think also because of how simple it can be at times, it's a nice, cute looking game too, the way they remodeled it with that toy look, that almost chibi look for younger Zelda players, maybe like below age 12, below age 10. It's like a nice little introduction, and they might say, oh, this was actually a little too easy for me, and then they try other Zelda. So they get to play an old game and have it be pretty decently faithful, but they don't have to deal with the frustration we had.
Yeah.
We're those people.
Exactly. It's like the entry level for Legend of Zelda.
Yeah.
I also think if they change too much, like if they change the bosses or whatever, you're going to have those people who are upset about it. You know, like there's no winning there if you change something like that. The only time I could see that going over well... So you might as well
remain mostly faithful.
Yeah, like there's only one instance where I could see them changing bosses in a Zelda game and it going over 100% unanimously well, and that's if they just like remade...
What they did to Majora's Mask?
No, what I was going to say is if they changed Tantalus in Skyward Sword for the HD version.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone would be right on board.
And we'd all be on that train.
You might have a small group of literally 100 people who are like, what?
Yeah.
That was my favorite.
They could, guys. With DX, since they kind of gave you like 2 versions of a dungeon with the DX re-release. I know they give you like Dampé's Shack in this version, so you can kind of make your own dungeon, but it would have been nice if they would have still made like their own unique dungeon using the processing power that they have with the Nintendo Switch. That way they wouldn't be limited to just doing stuff with the normal Game Boy. So if they would have built a new dungeon specifically for this version, I think more people may have enjoyed that instead of getting the choice to build your own dungeon, because I don't know too many people that actually loved that.
I never even tried it. I didn't care.
Yeah, so like getting a new dungeon with a new boss would have probably been a bit better.
Unless if they had actually done... Like, what would have made the dungeon builder thing really good is if they had a way to share your dungeons online with friends. I
agree.
The lack of ability to do that, especially when Mario Maker exists, and there's a whole game around that. The lack of ability to do that in Link's Awakening, I felt made the whole thing feel really unnecessary. Because it's like, okay, there's this cool feature, you can build dungeons and stuff like that, and then like you can play it, the dungeon you just built, and you know how to beat it because you just made it, and that's it. And there you could save it to an amiibo, and then like scan it in on a different console and have someone play it. So technically that works. But like you should be able to do it online. You know, like this game came out in 2019. Come on, you know.
They could have at least
wonder-
given us a 𝗏𝗏 amiibo.
Well, I was gonna say, like, I wonder if that boils down to the whole, like, Link can't jump because that's Mario's thing. I wonder if it was one of those, like, with Mario Maker and Mario Maker 2 being so big that they were worried if they had done something to that extent in a Legend of Zelda game that it would pull from it. But because it was a side thing, I can't imagine that would actually happen.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, it probably
Yeah.
comes down to they probably just didn't think about it.
Yeah.
It was a very big testing ground thing.
That's
Which
the most
I didn't
Nintendo
actually play
answer.
the designer thing, but I'm wondering, isn't there like when you think about it, a limited number of designs you could make? Like it's still a pretty big number because all the rooms are set, like you're very limited on how. I don't know. Not that this would actually happen, but I can picture there's someone being like, I created this original dungeon. Wait, no, you made the same somehow original dungeon.
Yeah.
But it would probably still take a lot for you to get to that point. Again, I never actually dabbled with it because I was like, the original didn't have it. I don't need it in this one. I'm just going to play the game. And finish.
Yeah, I felt it was more like a more advanced version of Skykeep in Skyward Sword, where you could just like rearrange those rooms, but you had to in a certain way. And then 𝗏𝗏𝗃 Shack was just like you can just put them in whatever order you want to put them in.
Yeah.
They just need to make a fully realized Legend of Zelda Dungeon Maker.
There's like fan-made ones that are coming to fruition, we'll say, but they of course have to be off-brand, right? Like they can't be on name brand Zelda Dungeon Maker. They have to like call it. There's like when there's a Legend Maker or something like that.
Oh yeah, I
but,
remember that guy.
I mean, yeah, I love the concept, right? And there's so much you could do with that. So yeah, like a fully realized Dungeon Maker would be really fantastic. Especially if you could make like string a bunch together to make like you're basically just like making a full game at that point, but I still want it.
Yeah.
So
Right? Like I
Yeah.
think it would be a lot of fun, and like there's tons of RPG makers out there. You can make your own fully realized RPG on a program if you really wanted to. Like the technology's there, and it's been there since long before Mario Maker. My 2 cents.
oh, Nintendo Ninjas apparently. they're
Yeah.
we got Nintendo Ninjas in
coming
the
for
chat. That's not what you want. That's
Next
not what you
Direct, they announce a Zelda dungeon design game.
Okay, that would actually be
You heard it
incredible.
here.
Though. I would love that. I would love that. Yeah. So I guess we finished our tier list here, and then we chatted for a while. So yeah, let us know, guys, if you're watching this and you're like, I hate the placement of this. How could they do that to Turtle Rock? What's wrong with them? You know, let us know.
Goodbye, Turtle Rock.
All your thoughts, of course, and I'll post this on Twitter later tonight as well, just for kicks, because it's good. It's good. But I guess that brings us to the end of that segment. I guess we got all that we got left is I gotta fix my layout real quick here. The Zelda
Mailbag.
Zelda
Mailbag.
which means we say goodbye to the geek.
Yeah.
We just got a letter. What?
Are you okay?
Yeah, it's Blue's Clues. Come on.
Why is
Oh,
it
yeah.
Blue's Clues?
Because we're doing the mailbag.
Yeah.
All right.
Mail time.
Mailbag.
If you want to wag my tail.
I remember when Salt and Pepper had a baby and it was Paprika.
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 Salt and Pepper make. How does Salt and Pepper make paprika? That makes no sense.
Kid, you
Yeah, that's confusing.
don't. As an adult, you're like,
I have some things to say that aren't PG. I'm just gonna keep them in.
All right. You hold on to that.
I'm just gonna.
That is funny.
but yes, this is usually the time where I leave because we ended earlier than normal for the mailbag. It's usually about 15 minutes more. than
Right.
this, but I'm still gonna have to bow out.
That's
You've
fair.
been busy.
Oh yeah.
That's fair. Until the summer, when we'll force you to
Hopefully.
stay for the mailbag. We'll force you.
Ugh, somehow.
We'll show up in Florida with our laptops and. No,
you
no.
have to stay after midnight.
No, That would make it more difficult because we still wouldn't know where to go from there. We'd show up at the airport. We're like, okay, now what? It's
Yeah, right. For me, it'd be like, how'd you find out where my address is?
right.
Like I think,
So creepy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right, I think she mentioned something about alligators, so I think we just walk until we see an alligator and then start the podcast.
That's what it is.
Absolutely.
There's actually not a ton in my area. It's only if your like yard backs up to water. Like actually, my apartment backs up to water, and we've never seen one at all. We have signs warning about it, but that's for legal insurance reasons that there's signs warning of
Yeah,
alligators.
it's like, aha,
There
we
you
can't get sued.
You can't get
We have a
on the off
sign.
chance.
Basically, the insurance company was like, you need to put signs up on the very off chance that happens.
Makes sense.
Good.
It's an old.
But actually, no, it says don't feed the alligators.
Yeah, when I worked in banking briefly for a few years, there was a nice saying we always would say, which is cover your expletive. Cover your butt.
Yeah.
For legal reasons.
Like, what are you talking
But
about?
you know what? You know exactly. You worked at
I
the same
know.
place.
I
Cover
know.
your butt.
I know.
Cover your butt.
Cover your butt.
Yeah, well, except
Yeah.
we didn't say
So,
butt.
uh,
So
Geek, would you like to let everyone know where they can find you if they want to come and watch more alligator ranting from you?
I might talk about gators on stream, but nope. I am the Geek Apprentice here on YouTube. I have my own channel, which I'm like literally 4 away from 9,000. I think my like channel itself says 9K, but I don't actually have 9K. Like it went up. I've gone up by like 100 in the past few weeks. I don't know how that happened, but anyway, yeah, I have lots of videos about Zelda, usually music, sometimes other topics, but right now it's primarily Zelda and then that one random Banjo-Kazooie one. I usually stream on Fridays, but I haven't been for a while, and I know I won't be tomorrow. I am putting out the potential to stream in the morning someday, maybe. It just depends because my Monday, Thursdays, and Fridays can look different depending, so it might just depend on the week. Every week it's a different morning, but I know there's a lot of overseas viewers that I'll stream at like 8 p.m. and they're like, it's 2 a.m. here, and I'm like, sorry. So it might be good for them. So yeah, that's who I am. I am the Geek Apprentice. I did record a video today. I don't know when it'll be uploaded. It might be a little bit because I have a very long Saturday coming up, about 12 hours of dance. So we shall see. But yeah, I'm also on Instagram. That's me.
All right. Well, pleasure chatting with you.
Yeah.
Hope you have an awesome
Yay.
day.
thank you for being
Night.
here.
And sleep.
Until next time, y'all. Goodbye.
And then there were 3.
You stole my line.
This YouTube video is not sponsored by this empty can of buble.
Buble.
Bubbly?
It's bubbly.
Buble.
Buble. I am once again fixing my stream
Bubbly
layout.
lime.
Buble.
I'm once again asking you to fix your stream.
Yes,
Hi
that's
everyone.
correct.
This is your time to submit a question in the live chat if you would like to have your question answered.
Jesse hates us.
What? What?
What?
Jesse hates us.
No, I don't. I was saying that.
I'm just
so
messing with you.
there's only
You're
one
right.
person I hate, and she's already gone, so it doesn't matter.
What?
I'm joking.
What?
I'm joking.
How?
I'm gonna die.
It's because it's how we pick on everyone when they leave. Like when Daniel
know.
leaves, and the rest of us are just like, oh,
Oh,
I know.
what a
that
relief.
Daniel.
Rude. Rude.
No. So if you have a question, put it in the chitty
We
chatty
have-
chat.
Yeah. Put it in the chat. Well, maybe we'll just check in the old Discord. See if there's any questions there real quick, just to kick things off while people are throwing their questions. And I also saw some on Twitter earlier that I chose to ignore because we've already answered them a jillion times. So just putting that out there, guys. If we skip your question, it's not because we hate you personally. It's because it just very well may be a question that we've already touched on like 30 times. So that kind of thing. There's a question here from Discord from Manboy Cave, who's a username that is known to us, a well-known username in a good way. What are your biggest concerns / worries for the Breath of the Wild sequel? What's the one thing they could do to ruin it for you? That would be taking out Beetle for me. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. One thing that might ruin it. I actually don't know. Or someone else go first. Someone else. I need to think about that. Jesse, are you muted? Can you hear Jesse? I can't. Oh, I can't hear either of you. What the? Hold on a sec. Hold on a sec. I think Discord decided it hates me. This is really... Hold on. I'm going to try and fix this.
Size of his
I
other
would
eyeball to make it look just as big.
Whatever.
All right, I fixed it.
Oh.
Now I can hear you.
Yay.
Shh, everyone, shh.
I don't know why that happened. I was like, okay, no, for some reason, like I have the Discord audio set so that I can hear you and also the stream can hear you. For some reason, it switched its audio output to a different source, like
Weird.
randomly.
Weird.
I don't know, like because I was
Did you
hearing
have Did you have to look at it to see what was wrong with your left eye?
No. What?
We were talking smack about you and you couldn't hear us. Just
Why?
saying, you have-
Okay.
you
Next
have
time
one really big eyeball.
I'm gonna tell you guys randomly that I can't hear you just so I can hear what kind of smack you hear.
I said you had one. Your left eyeball was really, really big, and you don't really need to wear glasses because you're blind. You have to wear glasses because your left eye lens is just normal, but your right eye lens just magnifies the size of your right eyeball to make it look the same size as your other eyeball.
What? Well, that's just weird. But all right. What did
It
you
is
guys
weird.
think about?
You should get it checked out.
I should see an eye doctor about that, I guess. What did you guys think about Manboy Cave's question here, though?
So
Sir, you asked the question?
What?
Can you repeat the question?
Okay, the question was, what are your biggest concerns / worries for
Oh.
Breath of the Wild sequel? What's the one thing they could do to ruin it for you?
I have it.
Okay, geek.
All right.
Or not geek. Sorry.
Oh
Chips.
wow, Jesse,
The
you're gonna
one
feed
thing
the
that could ruin
conspirators.
it for me,
Is
Come on,
Jesse calling
right
you
here.
geek?
the one thing that could ruin it for me is if they randomly decided that they wanted to release a new console for Breath of the Wild 2. I would actually die. I say ruin it for me because I played Breath of the Wild on the Wii U because I couldn't get access to a Switch.
Dang.
Mm-hmm.
Dang. So just not being able to play the game would ruin it for you, is what you're saying. That sounds like that's what you're saying.
They'd probably do a Switch, like the same way that they did like the Wii U and the Switch version. Like if
Right.
they had launched a new console, they'd probably do one on the Switch and then on a new console. But that's like really out there. I really doubt that they would do that. But that's just like my past experience.
Okay. No, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, Chips has a good point.
Yeah, that's valid. Jesse, what are you? What would they do? What would ruin the game for you?
If they were like, you all had so much fun completing all 120 Sheikah shrines, now try these 120 Zonai shrines.
Oh no!
Oh my
With
God.
Zonai monks who give you soul orbs instead of spirit orbs.
If it was just like 120 mini
Right.
dungeons instead of like 10 actual dungeons.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry. Actually, I have a different point that I wanted. Time travel. I'd be very upset if they included time travel.
You'd be up.
Yeah.
Oh, really? There's a spicy
I seen
hot
that
take.
in the comment you left on the
Age of
video earlier.
Calamity was ruined for me as soon as I found out that there was time travel.
That's
I
like
looked
the
up the
demo.
spoiler and then I stopped playing.
That was like the demo.
I know. I hated it.
Really?
Oh, if egg isn't in the game.
Well,
Egg's not gonna be in the game.
Just the whole time travel aspect of it really bothered me.
Okay. I've got it.
Yeah.
it. So
The egg can whistle and just travel back in time.
what
they
I
just,
what I actually think would ruin the game for me, in a sense, is that and hear me out. A lot of people are like, we want dungeons because we love the dungeons of the old series or the classic games and all this, and I agree with that sentiment. I hear you there. I love dungeons, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the dungeon guy. But what would ruin it is if Nintendo leans so far into that direction, we basically get the rigid structure of like Skyward Sword, which
You start to lose that open world.
yeah, and where like, okay, we have an open world, but there's such a rigid string of events that you have to follow in a super set order with no flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
Go here,
Because
do this, do that. Go here, do this, do that.
yeah, exactly. And okay, an example is like there are other open world games that kind of do that to you, where they says, oh, this is a big open world that we made, but to do anything in the world, you have to do it in this order of events, this set like order, and that, I don't know, like the thing I love about Breath of the Wild is that freedom, and I actually we had Kayla and I had a bit of a conversation about this earlier. We're like, is it too much freedom? Is it not enough? Like, we're like, what is it? But no, for me, like, it's I think you can have your cake and eat it too. I think there's room to have that huge open world with that openness and maybe no dungeon order or whatever, and still have good dungeons, and that I actually do worry that by trying to implement those dungeons and have a difficulty curve or whatever, they might lose some of that openness. I don't think the game will be bad if that's the case necessarily. So maybe I'm being melodramatic. Maybe it won't ruin it for me. but like,
But it's definitely not like, yeah.
Yeah, I have the expectation, and maybe I shouldn't, but I have the expectation that this game is going to be better than the first one. And I feel like if we lose that sense of openness and that sense of being able to do things in any order we want, or just skip them entirely, etc., then it won't be, for me, as good as the first game. So.
What if it's sort of like A Link Between Worlds, to where like each dungeon has its own weapon that you rent? That's like the main weapon of that dungeon, but in the dungeon, and this sort of solves the whole breakable item thing that a lot of people have. If it's more like one dungeon has the boomerang as its main weapon, and all the boomerangs you can find outside from like Lizalfos and stuff are all breakable boomerangs, but then once you get in the dungeon and beat the mini boss, you get an unbreakable boomerang. So each dungeon still has its own item that is used specifically for that dungeon, but that dungeon item is just the unbreakable version of that weapon that you can already get.
Maybe. It's funny you bring up A Link Between Worlds, though, as I thought it actually strikes a very good balance in its openness and its linearity, as it were. Like that, I think that game is fantastic in that regard, where you can, you have these really good dungeons. I think A Link Between Worlds has some great dungeons, actually, with some good mechanics, and you've got your whole arsenal of Zelda items, but then you still have that openness to explore the overworld a bunch and tackle these dungeons in whatever order you want, with a couple of exceptions. And so I think, I think you can still have like a good story and openness and also some linearity in there. So I think A Link Between Worlds is a good game to lean on for inspiration in that market act, or in that specific sense of things. But yeah, just because it's really balanced well in that sense. I think it's you kind of have like the story where it's like you have to do those 3 dungeons in Hyrule first, but you can like you do the Eastern Palace, then the next 2 you can do in either order, and then you do the low rule dungeons, and then you do the final dungeon. So there's still like something of a set order of events. There's just like a lot of wiggle room. So I could see something like that being really good for the game. So this turned into Daniel's TED Talk, so let's move on.
Daniel's TED Talk.
Yeah, so thanks for coming to my TED Talk, folks.
Your statement about hoping that this game is going to be better than the first Breath of the Wild is like, I'm scared that this game's not going to be better than Breath of the Wild. I'm so scared. You know what they say about sequels?
No, you're right. But like, I think every time I think about how long they're taking to make this game, it makes me think more so that it's going to be better than the first, because like they know what they're doing. I trust the Zelda team. Even I would say like my least favorite Zelda game is still a good game.
You had with them.
You know, so it's yeah, I would say like the more time they're taking with it, the more it gives me hope that it is going to be better than the first. I really think so. Yeah. Also, we have Nintendo Prime in the chat here. Hey, welcome, Nate. Good to see you. Appreciate you being here. Do we have another question picked out?
Oh, okay, go Jesse.
No, I was gonna say I can't see. So.
Oh, there's some in the chat. I will grab one. Da 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 da. Jorge asks, with the recent confirmation of Daruk's ancestor, which Zelda character would you most like to see included in a possible past Hyrule, either by reference or important to the game? It's a hard question.
That is gonna be a weird take, but the Hero's Shade actually would be super cool, especially hey no so Kayla was playing Tube was streaming Twilight Princess earlier today, and then I was thinking about Twilight Princess and how good of a game it is, 'cause it's super good. And one of the things I really like in that game is the hidden skills, where you sort of, as the game goes on, it's completely optional except for the first one, but as the game goes on, you kind of learn more skills like that you can use in combat, and you get full control over them, unlike Wind Waker. And it's like your character grows, like your moveset grows as the game goes on, basically. And we don't really have that in Breath of the Wild. And I think it would be really cool to have something like that again. And the Hero's Shade is a super cool character, and it's super cool that he's a previous Link as well.
Yeah.
And he's kind of a dark character. Like the whole concept of him is dark. So yeah, I think that
might fit with the mood of the game.
Yeah.
I hadn't considered that.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen by any means, but the question was if we could pick. So that's my answer. It will never happen, but I would love it.
I just say Saria because she's from that Ocarina of Time era, and she's a Kokiri, and I want Kokiri in the game in some way. I am really sad that they replaced the Kokiri champion with the Rito champion, and all the Kokiri with the Koroks. It breaks my heart because I love Kokiri. Koroks are just stupid wood things that don't make sense.
Oh,
You know what? This is gonna spicy hot take, Jesse. I actually prefer the Koroks over the Kokiri.
Oh, it's stupid. It's like
no,
Koroks are so cute.
They're little cute.
It's like the Zora turning into the. No, it's the same as the. Zora turning into the Rito. It's like, oh, there's more water in the world, so you evolve from a fish into a bird.
There could be an explanation for that. Maybe they're freshwater fish. They can't live in the ocean where it's salt water. But anyway, no, I just feel like the Koroks are like conceptually more unique than the Kokiri. You know, like that's just like, for me, the Kokiri are just like the lost boys from Peter Pan, basically.
Also, with
don't
the
know.
Korok, you have this opportunity of being able to encounter them all over the map, right? Like if you had the Kokiri, am I pronouncing that right? Last time I pronounced it, I said it wrong.
No, you're good. Okay.
If we had them, they would have like probably a dedicated village or something, and you wouldn't get to have the interaction with them everywhere.
Yeah, that would be horrible having Kokiri Forest all over again.
I'm not saying it would be bad. I think the Korok, like their design, their like whole idea of them conceptually is just more. It's just more unique than the Kokiri. The Kokiri are just like children, like literal children. And
Koroks are stupid wood stumps.
Yeah, but that's different. Like you can't. That's like super different from the other races around Hyrule. You know?
They're like chibi versions of Deku scrubs.
Yes, and that's great. I also love the Deku scrubs actually, but I wouldn't mind them coming back.
Deku nuts.
I wouldn't mind them coming back. But anyway, Kayla, what's your answer to this question?
I was thinking along the line. It's funny, I was also thinking Twilight Princess. I was thinking along the line of things that you could collect to make the world feel full. So I was thinking either Gengal.
Metabugs.
Gengal? The cat?
Yeah, the cat. Yeah.
Giovanni's cat?
I like the cat more than his owner.
Yes!
There's cats everywhere. You just have to play hide and seek with all the cats again.
That or Agatha. Someone that is a collector. Someone that brings like a new element into the game. You know?
Agatha would be fun.
Not just Heston.
It would give us a reason. Yeah, it would be a reason for collecting all the different bugs. Like Skyward Sword did it too with Stritch.
Yeah. So we could have Stritch. We could
or
some sort of bug collector. I think would be.
I want Princess Agatha is way better than Stritch.
It's funny, I say this knowing that I never actually collect all of the bugs, but Skyward Sword.
She's weird.
I love catching bugs. It's my favorite. Like it's
in
so
Twilight Prince, if you leave without giving her a new bug, she like calls you out on it.
She does. She's like, I know you have bugs. It's super creepy.
I'm sorry, I don't have an answer that's as good as Daniel's.
No, Agatha is good because there's a bunch of bugs in Breath of the Wild.
That's true.
You're a bunch of bugs.
You need a reason to catch them all.
I came on swinging with my answer, but you're totally right about the bug collecting and Skyward Sword being really funny though. Because
give us a net.
I was thinking about in Twilight Princess when you catch a bug, Link goes up to the bug and you have to like calmly like. He like reaches down and he picks up the bug and then he holds it up, right? And Skyward Sword Link is catching bugs. He's like, it's great. It's wonderful.
And also, you catch birds with your bug net. Like that's messed up.
That's great.
That could be if there's an older version of Agatha, then
great.
Beetle and Agatha could date.
No, no, I'm not dating the creepy bug girl.
You can't mix the birds and the bugs like that. The birds are gonna eat the bugs.
Wait, Kayla, you haven't heard about the birds and the bees?
I want to ask the next question.
Next question. All right. Let's see. Here's one from Justin. Question for the mailbag with the recent leak. Do you think they'll go in and tweak the story of Breath of the Wild 2? Or do you think they're too far in development? Like, I guess, are we thinking like they're going to tweak the story to like edit this character out of existence because someone leaked it? Or
I mean,
or what?
With the way that voice actor backtracked and gave so many I don't knows, I don't think like either way, like I don't think that's enough to justify erasing a whole character out of their story.
Yeah.
Especially this far into development. Yeah. Like they're probably just spending the rest of this time like really fine-tuning what they have going already.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I also just realized, I'm sorry for anyone in the audio version. Half of my joke just now earlier about bug catching was completely visual. So if you're listening to this audio only, my bad. my bad. Sorry about that. But no, I think Choop is right. Like I don't think it's like a big enough leak because we don't know anything about the story from this. It's just like we know that this character exists and they're related to Daruk, and that's it. And we don't even know their name. Apparently the voice actor doesn't know the name, wink. So yeah, I don't think it's a big enough deal for Nintendo to like scrub anything from the game, but I don't know.
There's too many like what ifs and just like questions around what that character would be. There's so many unknowns that it doesn't make sense to act on it other than maybe firing that voice actor.
Yeah. Also, like Joseph in the chat says, the voice acting sounds to be done, so I think they're too far along. Like, I think that's a good point. Like if the localizations are done, that means the Japanese voice acting is already done, which means like they're probably done the story. Like the story's probably set. And
like most of the voice acting, they like go in and start voice acting for a game that they don't know what it is yet, right? Aside from, you know, probably the previous cast, they're probably pretty aware.
Yeah. I think like if you're in the Zelda cast and then they're bringing you all back, like you probably know that it's something related to that. Unless you're involved in a bunch of projects, then who knows? But yeah, I think they're in too deep now. So yeah, I wouldn't anticipate any.
Call up Sean and get us a scoop, Daniel.
What?
Call up Sean and get us a scoop.
You call Sean. He doesn't talk to me. He talks to you.
No,
you're more of a homie with the voice actors.
That's what they do.
Yeah, Jesse.
Hard on me is Wario.
I would like to remind everyone that he's the game over guy, not me. So
you're the best friends with Miyamoto, though. You had that dinner and everything.
Got you there.
Not since the incident. Not since the incident. Yeah.
No, if we called up Sean or Joe or anyone and asked them for a scoop, they would just smack us.
Yeah, absolutely.
They would stop talking to us. Yeah. All right. I think that covers that one. Any Kayla, do you want to pick another question?
Is that the only other one from the live chat?
I don't know.
I know they're asking if we think there's going to be another delay, which is kind of part of Justin's question, and then Rick also asked it, and I don't think so.
No.
It seems very, very unlikely, and I think that if they did delay it again, there might actually be a riot.
I would have been super duper confident of it releasing this year, so.
I don't
know.
I'm like,
even more.
I didn't know where my Discord was. Duh, it's because I'm in a voice chat, full screen, looking at you guys.
Can this be the final question?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to find where we put the questions.
It's the final question. While you're searching for that, I'll say Nate / Nintendo Prime asked in the chat earlier. This is not a Mailbag question, but he did ask if we want to come on a segment of Prime Gaming Fest next month, and I would say I'm down. Just putting that out there.
Yeah.
I'm down.
Let's do it.
Senor.
I'm down.
My schedule is open.
Yeah. Also, someone asked here why we haven't done the Majora's Mask dungeon tier list. I thought about it, but I was like, there's only 4 dungeons, so that's kind of why.
I'll fight you over those 4 dungeons. It's gonna get feisty. I hate Stone Tower.
That's a good point.
We could do it.
That's a good point.
We could do Breath of the Wild and Majora's Mask on the same episode since they're both 4.
Yeah.
But I would argue Breath of the Wild has 6
4 Divine
dungeons.
Beasts and then 4 dungeons.
Breath of the Wild's 6 dungeons are the 4 Divine Beasts, the DLC Monk Maz Koshia Master Cycle Divine Beast, and then Hyrule Castle. So 6.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, we could just combine them into one, and then yeah, that works for me. That works for me. Kayla.
So there aren't really any new questions.
Okay.
I'm going back a little. There's one here that I'm not sure if maybe you guys answered before because it's from February. From Captain Bidoo.
Uh-oh. That's a name. That's a username. How far back did you
Is it
scroll?
possible? This is February 22nd.
Why you scrolled back
It's just
so far?
like- We've answered all of the questions.
All right. All right.
Do-do-do-do-do.
Right? Unless you see one that we haven't answered. Because remember, I'm not on every podcast. Like, I've only been on, like, the last couple in a row. So there might be something here that...
The most recent one in the Mailbag channel of Discord we actually haven't answered. But it's kind of...
Oh.
Actually, we kind of have answered it. Just not, like, as a Mailbag question. It's just something we've talked about a lot.
Let's put it out there. Let's put it out there. It's fresh. So
You're
this question
fresh.
comes from William, I'm thinking. Willem. What do you guys think about Breath of the Wild 2? Do you think it's done and playable, but they delayed it because they already had a lot of games coming for 2022? Well, 2023 almost has no big games that we know about. So putting Breath of the Wild 2 out, 2023, would let it shine more. And that's one of those things that we've definitely had the conversation about a couple of times on the podcast here, just about how 2022 was such a big year for so many big hitting games like Elden Ring and et cetera, et cetera. I don't think that it was in relation to that. It's probably just the reality of, time crunch and wanting to make sure that they're releasing the best possible game that they can.
Yeah, and I think if there's any evidence to support exactly that, it's the fact that Breath of the Wild came out in 2017. And I don't know if you guys remember 2017, but that was a banger year for games. Like, we got so many good games that year. Not just Nintendo-wise. Like, Horizon Zero Dawn released almost within, like, the same window. Mario Odyssey, Splatoon, ARMS, I guess, existed. But Mario Rabbids, was Mario Rabbids the next year? Maybe it was the next year. But I do remember 2017 just had an incredible lineup of games. Really incredible.
Oh yeah, it was especially for Nintendo Switch because it was like a lot of like those launch titles. Like
Can't forget ARMS.
Can't forget
Yeah.
ARMS.
Or
Someone in my
Sniffer
Discord
Clips.
asked if I wanted to play ARMS the other day, and I was like, "What?"
2017.
Downloaded.
Oh man. There was like 60 games released that year, but a lot of them are really good.
I think we can, on past interviews with the voice actors we had on, they said if the Italian voice actor is correct, and he had already finished recording all of his lines a while back, then on Age of Calamity in Breath of the Wild, what the English voice actors have told us is when they go in to record their lines, all of the cutscenes that they are recording for are already done and rendered. So those sections of the game are already complete. So yeah, they're not just speaking the script, they're matching up with the mouth movements in the cutscenes. So if the cutscenes are already done, then those sections of the game should be done as well, I guess.
Yeah.
Also, I guess quickly here, Bree of Hyrule also asks, if they bring back dungeons, what sort of capacity do you think it'll be?
7 or more.
Maximum capacity.
I don't think that they're gonna do too many dungeons. They might have like, God, I don't have any thoughts about Breath of the Wild 2. Well, I do. I have a lot of thoughts about Breath of the Wild 2, but I can't like put it in like a little box and like imagine how it's gonna be, you know?
I think if they have actual dungeons, then it'll be one themed after each area, at least. So like a forest, fire, water. They'll get like all of the normal ones out. So like 7 at least, or at the most, somewhere around 7. And then a bunch of mini dungeons.
That's what I was thinking. Like, I feel like this is gonna be something that's gonna have a couple of mini dungeons.
Yeah. Like if they
fair.
split it in half to where there's like 50 mini dungeons and then just use what would have been the other 50 mini dungeons and put those together as like actual dungeons.
Part of my thinking too is like, even if they have very few dungeons, like say 4, like Majora's Mask had, right? As long as they're good and lengthy dungeons, I'm fine with that. You know, like the Divine Beasts are really short. They're really not.
They're so short.
Yeah, and whereas like say
Honestly,
Skyward
each
Sword or
took, like,
Twilight
a year to
Princess,
make the-
those all had both Skyward Sword and Twilight Princess had really lengthy dungeons, and I really like that. Which is funny because I was harping on Turtle Rock earlier for being too lengthy, but no, I felt like they're just like really in-depth dungeons that are like really great, and I think that kind of thing can work for Breath of the Wild because there's like a certain level of the way Breath of the Wild systems work with like cooking and your equipment and your clothes and stuff. Like I kind of like the idea of like, okay, you're gonna go in a dungeon, you have to like almost prepare yourself in a way, you know? I just love that idea of like having to properly equip yourself, which you don't really have to do in other Zelda games. You kind of just waltz on in and you're good, right? So yeah, I don't know. I think it's gonna be well, I mean, I'm hopeful that those kind of systems would actually benefit, especially if the dungeons are pretty difficult, would benefit a lengthier dungeon, just having to have that preparedness. Yeah, that's me though. I'm always asking for more difficult things for some reason. So
MFH says, fingers crossed
Yeah.
we don't have boring Sheikah wallpaper in every dungeon this time around.
I don't think we will. I really don't think so.
What I did like, the thing I did like about the Divine Beasts was that when you go into a dungeon like Ocarina of Time or Twilight Princess, like you kind of only see like the entrance to the dungeon from the outside. You don't see like exactly how big it is.
Mhm.
In Breath of the Wild, they had to limit the size of the Divine Beasts to what it could physically be inside of it from when you're looking at it from the outside. And then the fact that they're also moving around, so you can see the world around you like moving. It's not just like a fixed point. And then most of the Divine Beasts, like the insides of them, can flip around and change and do a bunch of stuff as well. So I bet they were like, even though they were shorter, I bet each Divine Beast took like 2 or 3 times longer than a normal dungeon would have taken.
Right.
Just because they were just so dynamic.
Counterpoint though, particularly about this sort of sense of scale, like I agree, you're right, like they have to have it be like a physical structure and fit the whole dungeon in this thing and have it all physically make sense, which is awesome. Because like you said, other dungeons previously, it's like, okay, there's a cave entrance in the wall and then there's this huge dungeon there, and it could make no physical sense, right? So like, yes, but again, going back to like Twilight Princess or Skyward Sword, you have dungeons like the Sand Ship, where it's the same thing. It's like it's literally moving around. Even the Arbiter's Grounds, you see the building. It's like a building and it's huge, and you see it from the outside as you're going in. City in the Sky in Twilight Princess is also another good example, where it's like you've got all these segmented pods, and you can see the other pods from outside and from each place, and it does all like make sense in the physical space. But they're also bigger, lengthy dungeons, which is not what we got in Breath of the Wild. So I agree with your point that like that sense of scale and physical space works really well from a design standpoint. I just also think it can be done better, and it has been done better. Yeah, so there's some food for thought. Maybe not a counterpoint, but like
Friendship is really good.
Side point to that. Supplementary
I
point.
love Sandship.
Sandship's a great, I think a great dungeon. One of the best.
I think you're a great dungeon.
If
I
not
think
for
you're
the
best.
If not for the boss. So yes.
Yeah, was that the last one?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it. That's all, man.
Daniel, where could people find you?
Oh, well,
And kidnap you.
if they want to, I live in Canada in the province. No, I no. I mean, I do, but no, you can find me and all of my shenanigans over on my channel, which there's a link to it in the description. It's 𝗏𝗃𝗧𝗏. That's 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃, as in, oh my gosh, it's the captain. That's a literal burger, and it's also my dad. And I do streams twice a week, every Wednesday and Saturday. I can no longer say that every Wednesday is Breath of the Wednesday because it's over. So
Dunzo.
it's donezo because I got 100% and then did some extra stuff. Got the everything. So we're moving on to a new game to be announced soon. But Saturday nights I'm streaming Ori. Ori's really great series, great games. Yeah, so just because Breath of the Wild's over, I'm still streaming stuff. Some people were like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna miss your streams. I'm like, nah, I'm still streaming. I'm not gonna stop streaming just because I finished this one game. Like, I just end my career. no
Goodbye, internet.
Goodbye. No, we're still going, just different games. So I play lots of games. And if you guys liked our discussion about dungeons, or you like listening to me talk about dungeons, guess what? There's a whole series of like 40 videos on my channel about dungeon design in Zelda. And that pretty much speaks for itself. So go check those out. I'm really proud of those videos. Especially my Twilight Princess ones, which are, I think, top tier editing of mine. So that's me. Go check my stuff out if you feel so inclined. Thank you. I would appreciate.
Many appreciate it.
I would appreciate it. Now! No, I'm just kidding. No. But that's enough of me. Kayla, Tube, it's your turn.
Hello.
Tell us about
me.
who is Tube? Why is Tube?
𝗏𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃. Well, one time when I was younger, I took a photo and I photoshopped Chewbacca's face onto my body, and then I became 𝗏𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃.
Is
No,
that the
actually,
real story?
Yeah, that's 100% it. You can find me on Twitter at 𝗏𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃 and Instagram at 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗃𝗃. You'd also find me on YouTube at 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗃𝗃. I am uploading my VODs as I play through games. So far, I am uploading Twilight Princess HD and my Tunic playthrough, which we finished Tunic today on stream. And my life is wildly quiet all of a sudden, so I'm doing my stream thing now. So ideally Tuesdays and Thursdays in the morning around 8 a.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. Pacific, depending on how I'm feeling. And tomorrow I'm doing absolutely nothing. So if you want to come hang out on twitch.tv/𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃 with an extra A, we're gonna be playing Twilight Princess all day. We're in Arbiter's Ground. I stopped playing after I got the spinner because I had to leave. But that's me.
Very good. And Jesse.
Yeah, I love the spinner.
You love that? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I consider Twilight Princess just finished after you get the spinner. What else is there to do?
You gotta get the double
doesn't
claw
get more
shots.
fun-
That's what else.
Doesn't
My
get more fun
man.
than the spinner. I am Jesse. You can find the YouTube where you're at now, and the Twitch and Twitter and Instagram. Everything is at or / /GameOverJesse. So you can follow that. And yeah, thank you for watching and coming and hanging out during the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
That's
you,
it.
everybody.
That's it. That's all.
Bye.
Oh no, I'm shaking Link.
Oh no. Poor Link.